RKW, middle of the week, kicking off your Wednesday morning and the new NFL League year. Happy New Year, everyone. Although it's a year that many of you would not like to begin, considering Carson Wentz was mentioned in the same sentence as the Tennessee Titans yesterday. There is tons to discuss. There are additions. There are significant subtractions. There's an SEC tournament today. Richard Hendrix joins us at 7:20. Rhett Bryan at 9. Your thoughts at 615-737-1045. We've got comments like the chances of an 0-17 season have increased. We've got, could we go ahead and start talking about next year's draft? Then there's Arch Manning. Welcome to Nashville. I fell to my knees in a Publix. What a great way to start the day. Good morning, everyone.
Wow. Explosive entries there.
Or shopping is a pleasure.
Jeez Louise.
We are brewed up by Scooters Coffee with locations at White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. Maybe you can make the day a lot better than it was for many Titans fans yesterday. Welcome back, Ramon. Good morning.
Glad to be back, man. Vacay was good. This is why I hate evening flights. Got delayed. I knew it. Leaving out of Nashville on Friday night, man. Got delayed. Didn't make it to Arizona until about 10:45. We're supposed to get there like 9:50.
And you gained time.
I did gain time. Exactly. So it already been a long day. I got in, and the car rental place, it's the second time in a row I've booked with these folks, okay? And it's on me because I thought it'd be better the second time around. We got in Arizona. My wife told me, hey, you should probably go ahead into the car rental building center and see if you can get in line already. At first I was hesitant. I'm like, no, we'll be fine. Lies. We were not fine. Okay?
And this was, again, 10-something at night.
It was 10-something at night. Mind you, it was already 12 here. No, it wasn't this time to skip forward. Yes, it was already 11. We get there, and I waited in this car rental line for over an hour and a half. Got the vehicle, didn't get to the hotel until I think it was like 2 in the morning, which was 3 here. I'd almost pull a 24-hour on Friday, Saturday. So, yeah, I almost pulled a 24-hour, pretty much what had happened. Didn't fall asleep on the plane or nothing like that. I can blame myself for that, but I'm not a plane sleeper in general. But I got to say, man, the boys, they were good about it. Took my 2 boys, wife, and my nephew also. Little Aiden went with us. So it was cool, quick little turnaround. And you know why it was a quick turnaround? Baseball.
Of course.
Had to be back for practice and games, man. But I'll be real with you. The 4 days is all you really need for the most part on spring break. You start spending more money. Hotel beds start to get a little bit harder, and you spend more money.
Yes.
So, yeah, but I love Arizona. Y'all know that.
Good weather out there.
That. It was beautiful. It was. First day, went to the baseball game on Saturday.
Yeah, I saw the spring training.
Saw a good friend, my guy, Julio Bobon, VFL.
Nice.
So Christian Moore as well, national champion.
Moore, yes, I'll see more. Look. Hey, you can tell signs of things whenever you go to games, especially in preseason, and the guy that you're watching only plays like 3 innings.
Sure.
See more.
I think he's
that's exactly what that means.
The big league team.
I think he's going to make
him.
opening. And you know what he's doing? Making plays. He was good at second, man.
Nice.
His hitting didn't go crush it. I was telling my boys, like, hey, look at him. Line drives. I think he went 2 for 3 after I saw him or something like that, man.
Nice.
He looks comfortable. It was fun watching him, and I saw Julio afterwards, went on the field and stuff like that.
Oh, neat.
It was the Milwaukee Brewers training camp. By the way, amazing out there, too.
The facilities
the facility
are great.
was awesome. Got a chance to go on the field and everything. It was pretty sweet, man. The boys got the long tossing in, which
Look
is
at
good.
that.
But all in all, it's a solid
Very
trip,
cool.
man. I'm glad to be back. This was exciting news I missed.
Dude, there's so much going on. I was like doing the Vandy game last night, baseball, while also trying to keep up with all of the moves that were happening.
It's a lot.
Because a lot of these releases or not signing, I should say, or whatever you want to call it, they all happened like a little bit later too. So it was just like one after the other. And finally, I just felt defeated.
Yesterday, I think it was some breaking news yesterday that happened on 3HL with a certain wide receiver.
Oh, yeah.
That all his fan base felt defeated after seeing his calls. Miami.
2 years, $6.5 million to the Miami Dolphins. A 497-yard season, career high last year for Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. We live in a world where Nick Westbrook-Ikhine is being mentioned as the Odell Beckham Jr. replacement in Miami.
Well, good for NWI, first of all. I won't take nothing away from him, but it is wild to think about.
I'm not taking anything away from him. Absolutely not.
I mean, considering the fact that I still believe the Titans could have given him that money. I'm sorry. This was not some big-time deal, you guys. This was a $6.5 per year $1 million deal.
No, it's 3.25 per year.
Yeah, 6 for 2 years.
Yeah.
We were talking about numbers that were way more than that possibly teams would overpay for.
Absolutely.
And the Titans, in a room with no wide receivers, decide not to do it.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's not great. Odell Beckham's NWI is an Odell Beckham replacement, though, too. I mean,
he's a bigger receiver in a room with a bunch of very not big receivers.
Yeah, and did they get consistency with him? Well, I'll say this consistency of showing up to the games. I don't know.
Because the whole point is that he will give them that as a fourth wide receiver.
That was so how I feel about NWI real quick, because I'm sure we're going to talk about it. They either didn't value him or didn't offer him. Sure. It's that simple with NWI, because like you're right. Yeah, it's probably both. But at the end of the season, we listen to what they say and we should be watching what they do. This is a watch what they do moment right here from Coach Brian Callahan. He said that he found out about him later in the season as he was trying to pour into Traylon Burks. That also leads me to the fact that, are you going to pour into Traylon Burks again going into this next offseason or this next season in 2025? Or did you just simply say, no, I'm good on NWI, because the proof of concept was there as far as his ability to make plays. Now, here's what we didn't have after NWI, to be fair to the Titans brass. Is he a number 2, essentially? Are you going to throw the ball to him 8 times a game?
They don't even have a number 4.
They have time to fill out the room. I think the bigger thing is, like, they didn't even pay him like wide receiver 5 money. No, they did. Like, this is the
special teamer money.
Yeah, like this is,
if we've been real,
this is a little over vet minimum.
Yeah, that's special teams money right there.
That was we don't want him.
They weren't interested.
But here's also the other part of it. If we can say that about NWI, watch me go there. The same thing could be said about Dan Moore's deal. Somebody was willing to pay that, and it was the Tennessee Titans. Yeah. Nobody was willing to pay NWI what we thought. I thought NWI would get about 5 a year, is what I said, especially if he's going into a role. His role right now tells me that is still prove-it money. That's more than you've ever made in your life.
Right.
But if we have the opportunity to pay you less, we will. And they paid him way less than I thought he would have got.
He also got a 2-year deal, and I know that was a thing that he was like, no matter what, I have to have longer than a 1-year deal. And again, maybe that's also something the Titans said, oh, we'll give you 1. You know, I have no idea what happened with that. But for me, the outsider looking in makes me think they just didn't want him.
Yeah, I mean, for $6.5 million over 2 years, they clearly didn't want him.
Yeah, they didn't want him.
For sure.
It's right now, it's to that point where I was speaking of, well, what is this wide receiver room going to look like then?
Give me a crystal ball, Ron.
I mean,
probably multiple draft picks, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
They're going to have the double dip.
With is less of draft picks that they have right now. I have a hot take again. I've had it before about draft picks too at this point with how this free agency is somewhat set up. And with what's going on right now with the value of the free agents that you're getting, does Jeffrey Simmons become a trade partner again?
I wouldn't put anything out. Seriously, Moan, you know what? In the past, I would have said, you're crazy.
I mentioned
Nowadays,
this before.
I say, I don't know what they're doing. It seems like they're literally draining the blood out of the entire body. So I would say, I don't even think that'd be surprising.
You lost Harold, right? You got Jalen Harold here. What other help do you have with Jeff in the defense at this point?
Yeah, I think the challenge is what you're going to get back for him.
I know. I mean, but it's...
What's the price for Jeffrey Simmons? A third-round pick?
Right now?
That high, too?
Yeah,
high, too,
I'd
is where I look at it, but I need multiple picks.
2 and a 5?
2 and a 5. I would agree with you on that.
I don't think you're going to get a second-round pick for Jeffrey Simmons.
You know the biggest issue, too? Jeff's going to need a new payday at this point, too.
Yeah,
yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
There's also the bad team, good player concept that's going on right now, too. Because you telling me Milton Williams deserves to have more than what Jeff's got going on right now, considerably, what Jeff's done. I know Milton Williams hit hit free agency, right. So his price goes up, and he was somewhat productive. But Jeff is at that point, too, to where, I mean, he's got a 5th-year player, and Dan Moore making more than him right now. So there's that side of it, too. Help me be happy. Also, is where he's at.
615-737-1045 is our number. We stream the show live on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, where you can jump into the comment section and join the F&M Bank chat on the 1045 The Zone YouTube channel. Coming up, all the headlines from yesterday, the additions, the subtractions, and the quarterback that a Boston reporter is saying to keep an eye on with the Tennessee Titans. All that and more coming up next.
It's Ramon and Kayla here for Window Nation. Kayla, a lot of people, man, they just need a relief from high heating costs this winter. It's going to turn around and be cooling costs too at some point. And Window Nation can help with that. They have affordable, high-quality, energy-efficient windows that will keep your heat or cold air inside, lower your monthly utility bills, and keep your home comfortable year-round. Kayla, right now, there's a killer deal they have for them going on, too.
That is right, Ramon. Pretty much when you get windows from our friends at Window Nation, you're going to get a deal that you just can't pass up. I'll tell you this, though, Ramon, when it comes to these windows, they are the best around. Right now, you can get 2 windows free every 2 you buy, and they keep everything in. So whether it be the heat when you're trying to heat your home during the cold winter months, or now we're trying to actually bring the cold in because it is getting hotter here in Nashville. So you can trust these windows to do that. Over 20,000 5-star reviews. Window Nation values your satisfaction in their quality, service, and affordability. So give our friends at Window Nation a call, 866-90-NATION, or you can schedule a fast free estimate now at windownation.com.
Wednesday morning at RKW, we are brewed by Scooter's Coffee. Got the Scooters going this morning, the Scooter Doodle Blend in my cup. I can't talk about it enough. It's amazing. It's one of the best things going on in my life right now. Download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. You know I'm not kidding either.
I know, you're not kidding.
It's so good.
You have gushed over this one. I got to go get me a
like
cup.
that. Like he was saying, there's people obsessed with Cam Ward.
Yeah.
He's obsessed
true.
with
faceless, nameless
Scooter
people
Doodle.
on Twitter love Cam Ward.
Yeah,
Don't you
do.
dare say anything negative about it.
No.
Oh, man. It is funny, though. Like, discourse on this app has never been in a lower place on Twitter.com because Shedeur Sanders is Deion's son. You can't say anything positive or negative about him without being a hater or you've just never watched him play. Well, okay.
All right, then.
There are, this is a crazy concept. I'm going to say this very clearly. There are very intelligent people that can watch the same game and have different opinions.
Very much so.
It's a crazy concept.
It is. I was talking to somebody yesterday, one of my reps, about this. Like, it's hard talking these quarterbacks, though, before we go deeper into it, because there is such a love for one or the other. I've never seen two individuals in the draft class be this protected as far as saying something good or bad. And it takes away from the dialogue, I feel like, at times, as far as just how you can critique and praise and also still just be, you suck. And hey, I told it is polarizing, I guess is the word you could use.
It
on
is.
this.
I think it's challenging breaking down quarterbacks because unless you know the context of where were you supposed to go with the ball? Did the receiver run the right route? Did your coach tell you to just go here regardless of whether it was open? Are you is this a one read kind of thing? Are you, that is why I think people that get paid a lot more than us and are way more intelligent than us about this have differing opinions.
Well, and some of those people don't get it right. So, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know if the quarterback discussion, there is a really right or wrong to it when it comes to the draft. Like, there can be the favorites and there can be differing opinions, like, even Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels last year. A lot of people thought, Caleb Williams would be the better quarterback coming out. And he might be when it's all said and done, but Jaden Daniels had the better year. With this whole thing with Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, it's definitely amplified because they're two being pitted against each other. That's what it is. And you can talk about Jackson Dart and all those other guys as much as you want. I don't want to hear it. These are the two quarterbacks that are the most talked about, the two best prospects.
One quarterback at this point.
But I'm saying coming into it, and you guys are talking about these two being pitted against each other. That's why I'm bringing them both up.
No, it wasn't a pitting. It was the fans.
That's what I'm saying.
Just stance on them.
Yeah, the fans' stance on who they want over the other, and they want this guy because, the Shedeur's, got a dad that we don't like, or Deion Sanders. So we're going to go with Cam Ward. Or we like Cam Ward because, Cam Ward doesn't have all the baggage or whatever. So they do pit it against each other in a way when they take sides.
I personally didn't see them being pitted. My sense was whether you say something good or bad about either one, you're wrong. It's the way it's somewhat viewed. Because for whatever reason, and maybe it's just because we're embedded in this number one pick conversation all the time, is that you're looking so much for a savior. And you fell in love with two guys that did good at the organization when you can't really judge how good they will be, just being completely honest with you.
Yeah, as of any quarterback.
But the point is, like, you should be able to critique the same way you can critique any other quarterback in the last few draft classes, but this one just seems a little bit harder to do this time around.
Because there's two of them.
Yeah, I think it's locally. Cam Ward represents hope for this fan base that does not have a lot of hope right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're picking number one overall.
I think we are more inundated within the crazy discourse around these quarterbacks.
Sure.
Because there's this idea that if you don't just go get a quarterback, you're prolonging being relevant. Like, quarterback equals relevance. It also represents probably a lower floor. So
I also would say this too. They definitely, in terms of Cam Ward, believers or wanting to draft him, have gained more momentum too because of the moves that the Titans haven't made recently. Because I think there were a lot of people that were in the trade down camp and that were in even the Abdul camp. And I think that started to shift as you've seen these quarterbacks go off the free agency market. And it's almost like, well, then what is the answer? Okay, I guess what else is there than Cam Ward?
I actually have a different take than that one. I'll wait till we get into it later in the show, but Yeah, I do. Absolutely. I have a way different take than
You want
I
Arch
had.
Manning? Somebody in our chat this morning already said,
Wasn't that a tweet
get
yesterday?
ready for
too?
Arch Manning.
All right, it's
I
good.
didn't
I'll go ahead. Are we where are we headed right now? Because we're speaking a little bit about quarterbacks and Carson Wentz, right?
Well,
The report that
Ben
come out.
Volen, Ben Volen, Boston
Yeah.
Globe yesterday tweets, keep an eye on Carson Wentz and the Titans.
Keep an eye out on Carson Wentz with the Titans.
Why is a
Former-
Boston reporter saying this, by the way?
Because Carson Wentz agent wants a market.
Yeah, he wants to market.
Honestly, this makes more sense considering what we know the Titans want in their next quarterback. If they're really shopping in the Mac Jones, Zach Wilson market, Carson Wentz is also in that market. That being said, I'm going to reserve judgment and a super negative reaction until I know that this is happening.
Yeah.
And until somebody local or national level, Pelissero, Rappaport, Schefter has it. Because similarly to the way a Jets reporter yesterday or 2 days ago was saying, keep an eye on the Titans and Russell Wilson. Well, that makes sense for Russell Wilson's camp to add a bidder into the market and drive up his price.
Yeah.
So the same thing could be happening here with Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
could be.
When I first heard about that, I was like, this is something I'm going to reserve opinion on as well, even though my opinion is no, because that is exactly what happened with the Russell Wilson tie. We were like, oh, yeah, okay, possibly. You know, that maybe makes sense if they draft Cam Ward and bring him in for a year or so. Carson Wentz, like, that's coming out of the blue.
Yeah, it is. 5 teams in 5 years. He's a free agent the way you look at him. Former first rounders. They always tap back into those for the most part, man. Can't say, like, within the system that he was running in Philly under Doug Peterson, cooked.
Sure.
Absolutely cooked. I don't know what happened, whether it was his ego got bruised.
Injuries, too.
Injuries happen, but injuries happen all the time. Joe Burrow went through an injury in his first year and bounced back, too. The pressure maybe of what Philly was to him. As we see, they have a very strong locker room, and there are personalities and how they play football there, and also the city. I don't know if that played a part of the fact that Nick Foles goes in and becomes a hero and they crushed him. He's far removed from that right now, to where I would hope that he could at least be serviceable as a quarterback. But what are you asking him to do? This is my point I was going to make it a second ago. If you get Carson Wentz, you're not looking for the long-term answer. Like, you got a guy in the building right now, Will Levis, that really satisfies what you're trying to do also if you go after Carson Wentz is the way I view this one.
Yeah.
So, Ramon Foster, are you today on March the 12th at 6:28 a.m. advocating for Will Levis being the starting quarterback of the Titans in 2025?
Am I advocating for him? No, but it seems like that may be your only answer at this point. So, like, completely.
It's draft Cam Ward and throw him out there. It's Carson Wentz as a backup / bridge quarterback, or it's Will Levis. Those are.
Is Mac Jones still in the mix?
Yeah, I would say Mac Jones is
I
certainly
would say
still
he
in the
needs
mix.
to be
Mac
put
Jones
still
is
in the mix.
definitely in the mix. Well, and he's younger and he's cheaper.
Yeah.
So again, Carson Wentz / Mac Jones / Jameis Winston / whoever the Titans pick up could be an option. So really, yeah, you got 3 choices.
I personally, with how this is my opinion, I don't see with what free agency has held for the Titans, the wide receiver room that you have, the weapons that you have offensively. I don't know if you're set for one of these young quarterbacks to come in is where I'm at right now. And now that can change, and you say, no, Ramon, you're wrong. Screw it. Go get your guy if he's there. Right now, you're holding on to the number 1 pick at this point. It seems to me that the Titans have struck out on numerous players that you wanted to come in as far as being impact players, right? The safety ended up went to the Giants. That right there was a huge eyebrow raiser to me as it pertains to Howard. He goes, is that the safety that ended up going?
Javon Holland.
Javon Hollins,
I don't know why I keep missing him and Xavier Howard up. Javon Holland goes
Both
to
Dolphins.
the Giants. Think about that for a second. Here's a guy that you wanted, and whether it was dollars and cents, whether it was relationships, whatever it was, he chose to go to an even more trasher team in the New York Giants at this point right now. So you didn't close out on him. Justin Reed ended up going to another team also. You have no wide receivers that you're going after in the free agency market, which is fine. And then you also battle in the draft as far as not having a whole lot of draft picks. So you're telling me 2 picks in the top 100 or close to the top 100, and one of them is supposed to be a quarterback on the team right now that might not be built for it, defensively or offensively at this point. Heck, special teams is just not coming together. Last year, I thought this team was going to end up being over 9 games as far as wins goes with the free agents that they did sign, and they didn't. This year seems to be a little bit lesser than that. And also the depth that you have is not there. So I'm of the mindset that at this point, either trade back and get more picks or stick at number 1 and go get Abdul or Travis is the way I am. I am officially on Abdul or Travis, because the moves they've made in free agency for me show that they're in a position to start just stacking talent and building a bigger foundation. I don't think they're in a position of saying, we're in the business to go win games. This team, with where it is and the draft picks that they have set up right now and the talent that they have on this team, is not going to be competitive, in my personal opinion, in 2025. I just don't see it at this point. You're closer this year to picking top 5 again than you were even last year at this point.
I am not ready to go to that level yet. I am honestly at this point in the Cam Ward camp.
You are.
I really am. Yeah. Considering the other options on the quarterback market, I think it is your best path moving forward to go ahead and get him, let him marinate, and build an offense around him, to be honest with you. Because when I watch him play, when he is comfortable throwing play action, throwing those quick passes over the middle, and being in rhythm within an offense built for him, like at this point, maybe doing what Washington did and building a college offense for their quarterback that was really comfortable in a college offense is your closest way to relevance. The question is, would you rather be relevant in 2025, or do you want to teach him how to be a professional NFL-style quarterback in your scheme if you're Brian Callahan?
And here's the other thing. You talk about scheme and Brian Callahan. I don't really think this, when it's all said and done, is up to Brian Callahan. I think this is up to Mike Borgonzi more than anything in terms of how he wants to slow burn this process of building this team. And that's why I would say, Will, I could see both sides actually in terms of not making moves and showing you could just throw out a Mac Jones and say, we're going to throw you to the Wolves for a year and then we're going to have a top 5 pick again. Or I could see definitely the best available option is just going and sticking and picking at number 1 and building an offense around Cam Ward. And even if Brian Callahan can't succeed in the first year, bye-bye Brian Callahan, because it doesn't matter. Again, he said scheme should not matter. Like, I should be able to build around and my quarterback. Those are his words.
Yeah.
And if he can't do it, peace.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm 100% with that. But that's the other issue of it too. Is how good on paper. This is just on paper. This is preseason. We ain't even met like training camp or none of this as it pertains to who's going to be the starters, right?
Right.
How much confidence do you have in Coach Brian Callahan that he's going to be the one to be able to pull the strings, get the players he wants to, and also stay here and potentially have another bag year?
Not a lot right now.
There aren't many coaches that have that level of personnel say to pull a lot of those strings.
Yeah, and that's where I'm
the
at.
GM.
Exactly. Because he's
or the president of football operations.
And I'm looking at just the players that both coordinators at this point, as far as Coach Callahan and Denard Wilson, have gotten. Like, neither one of these sides of the ball have improved drastically to say, they're going to be more competitive.
It's March 12th.
It is March 12th, but
it's
as far
very
as
early.
Free agents that are still out there.
Right. It is very early.
But it's very low with what's remaining.
At this point, but so are the quarterbacks. And that, to me, is the thing.
Even the rookies.
Right. Like, that, to me, I'm not in love with Cam Ward. I think he is draftable at number 1. It's not my first choice, but considering the other options, I think it's the best pathway forward because I just don't think you can trot Carson Wentz or Mac Jones out there and do anything other than win about exactly the amount of games he did last year.
And I know, like, this does not matter, the end-all, be-all, guys. I know what I'm going to say does not matter. But you still have to sell tickets. You have to. You can't just be having an empty stadium for the next 3 years.
They can.
Amy Adams-Strunk still owns this team.
I know, but other teams do.
I know.
Cleveland does.
The way
Jacksonville does. Jacksonville for years, though, Caleb.
But Amy has
black
an
tarp at the top of the season. It don't matter about her emotional tie, though, in my opinion.
It does, though, when it comes to the move she makes.
But if the fans don't show up because it's just not there and they have a different plan as far as if she's trusting Borgonzi, if she's trusting Chad, if she's trusting Borgonzi, Chad, and Coach Brian Callahan to actually build this team up, I don't think the fans being in the stadium matter at this point.
Well,
I just don't, because other teams operate like that.
To see how she works then, because it's not, that's been a thing where she's trusted other staff before.
But my point is that she can't force fans into the stadium now.
No, but I'm just saying in terms of if you're the Titans and you have the number 1 overall pick and there's not any other options out there in terms of quarterbacks that are worth the damn, and then you don't pick a quarterback at number 1 where at least fans can get excited about something this season, because other than that, I don't know what fans are looking forward to.
But
It's March 12th.
That's been my
That's
biggest.
fine.
We don't know yet.
That's been my biggest
But
pushback.
are they going to like?
That's been my biggest pushback on all of this anyway. Like, a lot of this is just like, all right, we're just doing this for the optics. Like, oh, this is beautiful. This is going to get people in the stands. Like, no, at this point, where they are, I feel better about them just keeping the bulldozers on the ground and not putting the metal up as Burke Nihill said a couple of weeks ago, like on Buck Show. Like, they're still, in my opinion, settling the foundation of what needs to be done. As bad as it is, in my opinion, keep it that way and build it up the correct way. I feel better with watching this team be where they are and being picking in the top 5 again next year, where you feel like there may be better prospects for you to choose from at this point.
Yeah.
And that sucks to go through for the fans.
I just
think
there's not an excuse to not go get your quarterback now, just because all the other options that were even somewhat okay, maybe a Sam Darnold, a Justin Fields, those are all gone now. So then you have a quarterback room with Will Levis right now, and who else are you going to trot out there?
Johnny Hecker.
Oh my God!
Great
I saw
fake
that,
punt guy.
and I was like, "This is the
Your new
most
punter.
disgusting."
I mean, talking about that, yeah.
looking at this situation, like, yes, Cam is there for you. He's 100% there. But it's Cam, and the quarterback position is different. They can change a lot for you. And there's always the fear of missing out as it pertains to your picks and watching Jaden Daniels do better than Caleb Williams did, right? Watching C.J. Stroud do better than Bryce Young did. It's always that. But are you also looking at the comparison of talent between the two in those situations? Say, just a second ago, Will just said, this is just Will. Let me use him, for instance.
Oh, no.
I guess you just got to take Cam. That ain't what you said, the number one overall pick.
I know. I don't like it. I really don't.
To that point, that ain't what you say when you got the number one. Like,
I'm not running to the podium to turn in the Cam Ward card.
It doesn't seem any of the options are great, though, honestly.
No, yeah, they aren't.
I mean,
You
that's
picked a
the
bad
other
year to be
thing.
bad?
It's a bad free agency class. It's not as good as a draft as having an obvious number one.
Yep.
Let's just put it how it is. It's a crap thing for the Titans to be in. Oh, that's such a familiar space, I feel like, that we're talking about.
If they had in free agency with the money that they could spend, had done one or two more other things as far as like being able to get quality players here or there, right? I know, like, I think the move that they made and paid Dan Moore showed more than actual than other teams did. I feel like with him, you said to yourself, well, you settle at least the bigs part of what you're trying to do. Defensively, I don't think Jeff has enough on that side to help him out to get to that point also. With this one, I think they're trying to set a template for what they are going to be and be looking for offensively moving forward. I think they're probably going to run the ball a little bit more, try to get the offense going through the air as slow as they possibly can. But who is Cam or anybody else going to throw to at this point?
Well, right now, that's the part that Will keeps saying it's March 12th. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm trying to keep my powder dry because I do feel like you got to do something, right? I mean, they've got to have some sort of a plan to fill that room with more than Calvin Ridley, Traylon Burks, and Mason Kinsey.
Well, just because they haven't signed anyone yet doesn't mean they don't have a plan.
Right.
That's true.
It is hard to see with the draft picks that they have and the needs that they still have that you're just going to go get all your receivers in the draft, you know?
It's just been, so far on March 12th, it's not been the improvement.
Yeah.
Everyone in Nashville's going to know what day it is today.
That you want. It's not the improvement that you wanted in this free agency where you have the number one overall quarterback. It's my biggest contingency on why I'm on to picking early in 2026. If you were trash this year to go get a higher prospect next year, while also getting either Travis, Abdul, heck, move back to 6 and get somebody else and get more picks, because they said they was going to build it through the draft.
It's just,
you rather suffer now and live like kings later is where I'm at. It's like training.
It's wild to think about a reclamation project coming in here with, like you said, if they don't upgrade a lot of these spots, like watching that for a season is going to be like, I seriously might puke every morning.
Oh, okay.
Like coming to work with just trying to look at a guy like Mac Jones elevating this team in any, it's almost like they're just going to go pick somebody off the street. You want to play quarterback for us this year?
Well, Johnny Hecker is 15 of 26 for 193 yards, a touchdown, and 1 interception.
All right, throw him in
his
there.
career.
Great.
Coach Matt can break down tomorrow exactly what it's like having Johnny Hecker just throwing darts. I mean, just absolute seeds seeds he's throwing.
You should leave. Okay.
Well, look, they got another quarterback.
No.
I mean, look, everybody wants to just play football on March 12th. Hey, all you have on March 12th. That's the only guys that get to play football for the Titans this year. But I guess Johnny Hecker's playing quarterback.
Wow.
Your reaction, 615-737-1045. One of these days, we'll get to one of what we're supposed to talk about in one of these segments. That's all right. Sign of a good show. Sign of a good conversation. We'll give you the chance to react. Jeremy, Curtis, and Ken first up on the phones when we come back.
When couples walk into Genesis Diamonds, their eyes get so big. It's a mind-blowing display of sparkling jewelry with literally thousands of choices when it comes to engagement rings. All the styles that she's seen online right there in your face, all right? But the experts at Genesis make them feel totally at ease. They offer the beverage. They're asked a lot of questions about their taste and style, and they are given a no-holds-barred education. They are even told the secrets of the jewelry business. The consultants at Genesis are not on commission. They are not retail cloaks. They are not transaction focused, as I get my words together this morning. They can spend 30 minutes with you over 3 hours if you want. It doesn't matter. You can see dozens and dozens of diamonds in an array of sizes and shapes and color grades. You can see handcrafted rings from all the top designers that other stores can't even carry. You can even see the difference between a diamond that is properly cut and the one you might see online, all right? The difference would blow you away. Bottom line, Genesis will take away all the risk, all the mystery, all the confusion, and help you make a decision that you will be confident in for years to come. Genesis Diamonds, a true direct importer with rock-bottom prices and a luxury experience. No compromises. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
RKW is brewed by Scooter's Coffee on 104.5 The Zone as we continue on this Wednesday edition. Rhett Bryan at 9 o'clock this morning will talk Titans with us. And coming up in a half hour, Richard Hendrix of SEC Network previews the SEC tournament right here on our airwaves. Ross Tucker with some news this morning. Little known fact, multiple studies show that your team's roster on March 12th is not, in fact, identical to what it will be on September 12th. That's Ross Tucker on Twitter this morning.
Thanks, Ross.
Ross, go back to sleep.
We've got our own Ross at home here. It's Will Bowling, so.
Thank you.
He's already said March 12th.
That's probably the first time in the world I've been compared to Ross Tucker. I'll take it.
Run with it.
Sure. Curtis, first up, 615-737-1045. Hey, Curtis.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Yep.
I wanted to kind of touch on what Ramon was talking about and Kayla with people in the stands. And unfortunately, I don't think there's anybody in the draft that's going to make really anybody in Tennessee excited about wanting to go see the Titans play, unfortunately. And I think that's just a thing that's happened because of poor choices in the past. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't think anything that Amy's going to do is really going to bring anybody in the stands. And I myself, also being a former season ticket holder, with the prices that they were charging now and for the upcoming stadium, it's just like the product on the field doesn't match with what you're charging people. So I think there's going to have to be some dramatic changes in the organization and who they have. But unfortunately this year, I don't think there's going to be anybody that they can get that's going to want to bring anybody in the stand. So I just wanted to weigh in on that, but I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you, Curtis. I hear what you're saying. I respectfully disagree. You draft a young quarterback, all these red flags in September are going to be out the window. We have seen it time and time again in this market. You draft a young quarterback, you stand him up there with that jersey, you hold up the jersey with the number 1 on it. Look at the excitement there was around Will Levis when he got an opportunity. This fan base did not want Will Levis when he was drafted. Mm-hmm. We always talk ourselves into it in September. Cam Ward would get people excited. Shedeur Sanders would get people excited.
I agree. I think both quarterbacks would get people excited. I think Travis Hunter would get people excited, but you're not, I don't know, it's different in terms of what exactly he's going to be playing first and foremost, right? I mean, wide receiver, if he can make spectacular plays from the jump, like maybe you go, wow, this is the guy. Right. But if he gets put at the cornerback position, I love the cornerback position. Don't get me wrong. It's one of my favorite spots. But you're not going to just get as much ooh and ah out of that spot, right? So I think the quarterbacks are going to have the most pull. But some Titans fans are, in terms of their minds made up about this organization right now. I will agree with that part of it, that some Titans fans have their minds made up and they don't want to watch this team right now.
I would say for how long? Yeah, the season opener in any NFL stadium is going to be packed. The answer is for how long is it going to be packed too? Mm-hmm. Like we saw it with Levis. You're right. We absolutely saw it. There was a lot of excitement behind him. Next thing you know, it was hard to get fans here. The Minnesota game is as telling as it can get. Like, I don't care if it's just, all right, the last 4 games of the season. Like, the last 4 games of the seasons at Nissan Stadium was other crowds, was other fan bases. So, it might not be as bad as what Jacksonville and Cleveland and other teams have had happen, Carolina in years past, but eventually you will wear away fans like Curtis.
Tyler on YouTube says, I was a Levis hater out of the draft and got sold Levis enough to buy Mayo-scented cologne. A new quarterback will sell.
You're not the only one.
Totally agree.
Robert Walsh did that too.
That thing lost value now.
I think the problem is more, what are the seats going to look like in October, November, and December?
Facts.
Right. In September, we will always talk ourselves into caring and investing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been a Titans fan my whole life. I will talk myself into Cam Ward. Right. And when he holds a Titans jersey up. I'm not going to love it as much as maybe some of the other options, but young quarterbacks sell tickets. They do. Yep. The question is, should that matter? And the answer is probably no.
The difference is where those other young quarterbacks started at, too. Right? That's the one that gets me. Caleb didn't have an offensive line. They finally getting them one right now in Chicago, right? Bryce Young didn't have one either. Carolina sold tickets early, too. Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, he got benched. That's my point, actually.
I get that.
I don't want that for Cam.
Right.
Because you're setting him up for a Carolina 2.0 if you do that for him. He has no weapons. Remember, they traded away his number 1 wide receiver to Chicago at that point.
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore, excuse me.
The Titans have, they got Calvin. Most people view Calvin as the number 2 in a sense.
Yeah.
Right?
That's fair.
I don't think that's your best argument, though, because look at where Bryce Young is now.
a year
he did
removed,
get- he did
had
get
to
benched.
Sure,
right?
but okay, like he's better now, right? Like I think that argument says, all right, if you are going to go with Cam Ward, you better have patience enough to let him learn and make a lot of mistakes and not give up right away.
And then also potentially switch head coaches again.
Yes,
too.
Yeah,
absolutely,
exactly.
Mon. And that's I think
what you're
that's the
signing up
thing
for
we
with a
have to
young quarterback.
understand. And that's why I said
I
you
get
should
it.
have.
Y'all-
I go back to the Rand thing. You should have then just cut the head off the snake. I'm telling you,
Yeah, I think
because we're going to keep on having these conversations of tying to the last regime, or this coach is now gone after this GM was gone.
Right.
It should have just been all in one swoop.
The struggle is, though, that Mac Jones could also get Brian Callahan fired. Like, going with Cam Ward is not the only scenario that has Brian lose his job. Because if you trot out there Carson Wentz at quarterback, like, I'm sorry, I don't see a scenario where you're much better than what you were last year. And I think that probably gets him fired.
I guess in my opinion, my process of where they are right now needs to be a little bit slower than what they're presented with right now. Like, they're presented with the opportunity to go get a franchise quarterback. I view this situation saying even if they go get him, it's probably going to be a bad season. So you might as well go ahead and get a foundational piece at another position that can strengthen your team. And then go get your quarterback. Because next year is 6, 7 guys coming out that you feel high about too?
Arch Manning. It's the allure of a Manning number 16 Tennessee Titans jersey. And I think it's the reason why no one's offering a future first-round pick for the number 1 pick this year. They don't want to miss out on Arch Manning. They don't.
And again, in all of this, you got the opportunity to go get Cam. I'm just not in it right now. I'll be completely honest with you guys. I'm not in it.
615-737-1045 is the number. More of your phone calls coming up next. One punter out, one punter in. How do we feel about the big call that Mike Bergonzi and Chad Brinker and the group of general managers made over at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park? We're getting rid of Ryan Stonehouse. We'll talk about it next. What's up, it's Will Bowling. If you've been looking for cars and see the words buy here, pay here, maybe you are looking somewhere else. And look, most of those dealers, they come with certain reputations. But I'm here to tell you about one place with the best reputation in the market. That's my friends at Nolensville Road Auto Mart. They're different for a few simple reasons. They have been doing business in Nashville for 61 years. They're Nashville natives that only sell clean title cars under 12 grand. So if you're new to town and you need a place to trust, they got you. Or if you need that first car for a 16-year-old, they can do that as well. And if you don't want to take my word for it, check out the Google reviews. They are excellent, and that is saying something for a car dealership. One location on Nolensville Road, close to Thompson Lane. They'll get you in and out in an hour or less. And the best part, they're the oldest buy here, pay here in Nashville. And they work with your own financing if you have it. 615-242-1279. That's the number. Flexibility, transparency, and honesty. That's why I recommend Nolensville Road Auto Mart. Give them a call, 615-242-1279. Good morning for the 104.5 The Zone Studios. It is 7:01. I'm Will Bowling. The Titans were very busy yesterday, adding veterans and subtracting some. The team signed 29-year-old safety Xavier Woods, who spent last season with the Carolina Panthers. Woods signs a 2-year, $10 million deal. They also agreed to bring back safety Mike Brown, who played in all 17 games, including 4 starts for the team in 2024. As the Titans added talent, they also subtracted talent. Punter Ryan Stonehouse will not return to the team, confirmed by a post on his Twitter account. And reports also say the Titans will bring in a 4-time All-Pro punter Johnny Hekker. The 35-year-old spent last season with the Panthers. Wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Ikhine will have a new home as well. The former Titan will reportedly sign a 2-year, $6.5 million deal with the Miami Dolphins. The former undrafted wide receiver led the Titans with 9 receiving touchdowns last season to go along with a career-high 497 yards. 5-time Pro Bowl defensive end Joey Bosa, in other NFL news, reached agreement Tuesday night on a 1-year, $12.6 million deal with the Buffalo Bills. His 72 career sacks rank him second in Chargers history. Today, the SEC tournament begins inside Bridgestone Arena here in Nashville. 12-seed Vanderbilt takes on Texas at approximately 2:30. The Commodores beat the Longhorns 86-78 when those teams met in February in Memorial Gym. 9-seed Arkansas and 16-seed South Carolina kick off the tournament at noon. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. RKW on 104.5 The Zone continues into the 7 a.m. hour. We are brewed by Scooter's Coffee, and we're streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV. Scooter's Coffee's got locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Download the Scooter's Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. Johnny Hekker is the Titans' new punter. 4-time All-Pro, 35 years old, reunited with special teams coordinator John Fossil, who he started his career with when he was with the Rams. Fossil was with the Rams as well. Goodbye, Ryan Stonehouse. How do we feel about this?
Business, man. Stone is in the position, you love what he brought to the table, but they didn't love what they were going to potentially have to pay a guy like him that has his quirks that he got to work out as far as airtime, directional punts and stuff like that. And, of course, Coach Fossil wants a guy with a lot of tools in his bag, too, as far as being able to throw the football. So there's always that side of it, the familiarity of it also, too. Stoney's consistency is something that he's got to build on. I think Stoney's going to end up being a stud in this league still if he gets another opportunity. I do not deny that. I just think with what Coach Fossil wants from his special teams punter, I don't know if Ryan Stonehouse supplies that for him. And also the pay that he was going to potentially be getting at over $3 million. For a punter, I think they much rather have had him at like 1.2 or something like that. Sucks. I think that was the economics situation right there.
Yeah, I definitely think it was a John Fossil move in terms of what he wants in this special teams unit and what he doesn't want, or what, you're right, Ramon, he's familiar with. Because as much as we want to kind of bash Mike Vrabel and what he's doing up there with some of his players, a lot of it is familiarity. And when you're here for the first time or in a different place for the first time, you need a little bit of familiarity to start up what you want to do. And I do think John Fossil, in terms of how important the punting game is in this game, he wanted somebody that he felt like he could rely on, that had things that he already, had in the bag in terms of this new punter and Hekker. Where in Ryan Stonehouse, I think there's things, you talked about the hang time. That's been an issue under 2 coaching staffs. That's been something that has been a talking point for Ryan Stonehouse, not just last year, but in years previous. So I think with Ryan Stonehouse, as much as we really liked him, I think he has a lot of talent. He's going to be good. I agree with you when you go see him somewhere else. I think he'll have a long career. But for what they wanted right now with this new special teams coach, this probably made the most sense. Like age-wise, no, it doesn't. I mean, Ryan Stonehouse is 25 years old. Hecker is 35 years old. So this isn't the long-term solution, but it buys them time, I feel like, to get what they want in place. I also will say this too. I heard firsthand that Stonehouse was still dealing last year with issues from the previous season.
Was it from the knee?
Yeah, he came back so quick, and I think we focused so much on, oh my gosh, Ryan's healthy. That doesn't mean that he was himself out there, and I think that had a lot to do
Game one
with
ruined
it too.
that. Game one ruined
on
that
top
in
of
Chicago.
not even feeling like 100% back when you actually get out there.
Yeah, I don't like it. Sorry.
It's okay.
I think it's a bad move.
I don't think it's great either.
I think it's a bad move. I think they are making Ryan Stonehouse the scapegoat for bigger issues last season, like not keeping core special teamers who knew their jobs. And when Colt Anderson admits that he assumed guys knew what they were doing and making it Ryan Stonehouse's fault by getting rid of him, I think it's a bad move. From week 10 on last season, Stonehouse was averaging just over 44 net yards per punt. As soon as they added Justin Hardy and moved Bryce Oliver to that role, they moved some things around. Mike Brown is a guy that was productive in special teams. I thought they got a lot better when they had actual special teamers and, doing that job. So I think it's interesting because before John Fossil even got here, they were blaming Ryan Stonehouse for some of their issues last year. Like Brian Callahan at the podium was talking about how, well, there's not really enough hang time and he's going to do a better job. And Colt Anderson talked about it. Like it was a common theme in those press conferences that Ryan Stonehouse is partly to blame for their special teams issues. And I thought they totally just did him dirty. They got him hurt. The Titans did. They got him nearly hurt again last year by getting multiple punts blocked. And now they're saying, thanks on the way out. You were part of the problem, actually, by the way, coming off of an injury. So we'll see you, bud. I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
And that's cool too. And I just look at it as just like this is a Fossil guy.
Yeah.
Right. If Stoney was free, and also Hecker is also, he's going to go with the guy that he's familiar. Like that's one thing that we can't overlook as far as the NFL goes at times. So it is very much relationship based. Guys get jobs and pick teams because of relationships they have with folks too. Harold Landry going to New England. Why? Why would he go there? Because Vrabel is very comfortable with him. Like, these coaches make these types of moves all the time. It's just in this situation, you know that Stoney has a whole lot of talent. The issue is, of course, is this guy is 6'5", probably got bigger hands and can do some stuff in the special teams game that you want him to do. And then on top of that, he already understands how Coach Fossil, his operation of snapper, punter, kicker goes. I mean, Hecker is going to be a guy that holds the extra point and field goals that go up, too. Like, that is a part of these decisions, too. Like, yeah, you get in and say, man, I don't like it. And you know Stoney's younger, has got a lot of talent in him. But as far as him solidifying, again, his method of operation as a special teams coach, he has to go get one of these types of dudes. It wouldn't shock me, too, if you see over this next free agency, like him go get some gunners that he want to run down the sideline.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Protection up front.
And part of the problem was absolutely the roster management with special teams last year. I mean, that's one of the first things that I was shocked with who they were letting go last year and not keeping on special teams. And then they kept like 5 tight ends. That for me was a warning sign from the start. I don't know whose ultimate decision that was to do letting go some of these special teams players. But I will say, like, you can't blame it on just one person last year. I think it was a mixture of a lot of things, but I agree, Moan. I just think this is one of those things where if they got John Fossil, he's the best. We keep saying he's the best at what he does. You think he's going to go in there and not have a say in what he wants to do? I don't really think it's mostly the old staff that had an opinion on this. I think it's mostly John Fossil.
Here's the other part of that, too, as far as John Fossil getting this job, too. You know what make really good coaches great? Good players, too. Like, that's the other part of it. So he probably feels better about an all-pro guy and Johnny Hecker than he does at Ryan Stonehouse at this point with the level of stuff that he's proven. Like, you can give, again, I go back to a coach that said at Saban's, like, man, he never recruited bad players. Because you can't make the bad player that much better. Like, you go after really good players and good quality, and that's what makes you a great coach, too. Yeah. So a lot of that has to go into play. I don't like
the move, though. I'm not saying I agree with the move. I'm just explaining why I think it happened, and I think it's all Fossil.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it makes sense, I guess, from that perspective. I do think it probably raises the floor of who they are as a special teams unit.
Yeah.
It also lowers their ceiling of what they can be. I just think it's tough when, this offense is what it is to miss a potentially game-changing ability to flip the field.
That's right.
Now, granted, it also, to play devil's advocate with myself, it saves a lot of the points you gave up as well. But no, I don't think it's a good move. Again, it's very not fair to Stonehouse. Not that you're making decisions on what's fair to all of your players, but it is, man. This was on none of our radars a day ago.
I did not see any of this happening.
That's the thing is like I have a hard time in just one day being like, well, I get it. Like, no, I didn't get it yesterday, so I still don't get it.
No, I mean, I told Olivia in the chat yesterday, she brought up this concern. And I said, no, he's fine. Like, he's a restricted free agent. Like, they're going to keep him. And then lo and behold, yesterday when the news came down, I'm like, oh my God, I thought of Olivia. And I was like, I'm sorry, Olivia. Yeah. I did not see that coming.
Ryan Stonehouse got given Colt Anderson and a really bad blocking unit last season, and now he's part of the blame of why it didn't go well. I don't like it.
I mean, to be fair, Colt Anderson did get fired though too.
No,
essentially,
he did.
Yeah,
and so did Ryan Stonehouse.
Is it
by the Titans?
His contract expired.
I know,
Stoney's expired.
Yeah, I know.
Colt Anderson was still under contract. He got fired.
Yeah, I agree with not moving on from him, but I don't agree with the reasoning. I think the reasoning is fossil.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I know that.
100%.
I don't think he made the right decision.
But it's also at a point too. This is why I'm taking a step back and looking at this way different and saying I think this if they're doing what I think they are, Chad and Burke and Borgonzi. Look like they're really just doing a cleanse at this point.
100%. Mm-hmm. No doubt. A lot of things we thought were things we knew about this team and things we could confirm and take solace in. No, they're stripping it all down to the studs.
Down to the studs is
here
how
in Tennessee.
I see it.
Love it.
Oh, do you look at your quarterback?
Yeah, don't do that right now. Dang it! Come on. What are we? We will get back to it at 8:20. That sounded more condescending than I intended to be, but dang it. You know the schedule. Coming up next. Well, why would you? How dare you do that to Richard Hendrix of the SEC Network? Yes, it is.
My God.
And we're going to let him talk basketball and let us pivot to happier conversations coming up next.
Yeah.
What's up? It's Will Bowling. You've heard me talk about how Lead Company is all you need for your home, but they're also all you need for your facility. That's right. They're expert technicians on the facilities team. They have you covered, not just for HVAC, but for plumbing and electrical too. From healthcare facilities to industrial, everything in between. Lead Company, they are available 24/7, 365 to keep your building running efficiently. So call Lead Company today at 615-567-1000 or just head online to leadcompany.com to schedule an appointment there as well. Healthcare facilities, industrial, everything in between. You need teammates on your side who are open 24/7, 365. The moment something doesn't work, Lead Company, they are on their way and will take care of it for you quickly and efficiently. Give them a call, 615-567-1000 or contact them online at leadcompany.com. That's Lead Company, all you need. RKW is brewed by Scooters Coffee on 104.5 The Zone as we continue on this Wednesday. Download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. We are pleased to be joined by SEC Network basketball analyst and former Alabama basketball star Richard Hendrix this morning. Richard, you got the people going the last time you were on. We had to go back to you on the morning of the SEC tournament getting started. How are you today, man?
I'm doing great, guys. I'll try not to get on my box too much, but that was a fun chat we had last time.
Rich, no, you deserve to get on your soapbox like that, man.
Talk your talk.
Again, is what I say, and I'm glad we'll put a big emphasis on former Alabama. I'm glad we can be at peace now.
No.
Now, you guys get to be Vol for life. We don't get to experience what we got going on forever. I mean, how does it work for us? It leaves when we leave the school? I don't get it.
No, it stays. I just got to keep the animosity at an all-time high, okay? Because we finally are competitive with you guys, Rich. So it's just it's the tip of the cap to you guys more than anything.
Yeah, well, it's a good rivalry. I tell you, it's been a lot of fun being an Alabama guy for a long period of time, particularly with the football. I know what it's like. I mean, basketball, we're starting to obviously do our thing, but I can see how the Tennessee faithful, they give me a hard time every time I bump into everybody. So it's a lot of fun. I like to see all the teams being really good, to be honest.
I love it. It just means more. Richard Hendrix, SEC Network, with us this morning. Richard, I think it's interesting. Joe Lenardi mentions the other day, Tennessee, Florida, and Alabama are almost in survival mode of maybe who makes it farthest to the SEC tournament can get that last number one seed. Is it worth the payoff, Richard, in your opinion, to go all the way in the SEC tournament, risk the fatigue, risk the injuries, all of these things, and win the tournament to get a one seed? Or is the rest factor going to be important for these teams given the grind of the schedule as they maybe settle for a 2 seed? Where are you at? Because I could go either way on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very challenging situation for all of these teams. But for me, the mentality has to be that you want to win every single game. You will deal with the fatigue and things later on. Now, we do understand you look at Auburn last year, who had a strong finish in the conference tournament and then got upset in the first round. Fatigue could have played a role in that. Alabama was a team that got bounced early, and they go all the way to the Final Four. Unfortunately, I think basketball is a sport that people only seem to remember what you do in March in the NCAA tournament. I'm the type person, I look at all three of those teams. As you mentioned, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida. They've done a tremendous job in the regular season through a tough schedule. They played elite basketball all season long. I'm the type person that thinks that people should view these seasons as quality seasons. But if I am any of those head coaches, I want to continue to stay playing strong basketball. I want to try to win the SEC tournament, and we'll regroup and get to the NCAAs and try to get it together then. The higher the seeding, you have a much better chance because you're going to be playing weaker teams, and you can have a better draw. So hopefully it's all about getting the highest seed, and that would be the mentality. I would want to be a 1 seed, and then I would want to go ahead and play the competition as it falls.
Richard, as you look at Auburn going into this SEC tournament and starting at the top, are there any major concerns about the way they've finished their season? What do you see from them, and what contributed to the couple of losses they had to wrap up the year?
Well, absolutely. Momentum is huge at this part of the season. Basketball is a rhythm sport. You have to be able to be hitting your stride, having a lot of confidence, making shots at the right time, and more than anything, being healthy. Auburn's been tripped up. They played a tough Texas A&M team on the road that plays a physical style. You had the game against Alabama at home, which was a lot of emotions going through that one, and Alabama was able to pull that one out in overtime at the buzzer. But they're going to have to regroup. The thing that I look at when I look at this bracket and what they have to deal with in the SEC tournament, to me, it's two different styles of teams in the top half and the bottom half. And if Auburn will have to play either, if it's Arkansas, South Carolina, or Ole Miss when they have in the next round, those are physical teams they're going to have to deal with. When they move forward to the semifinals, if it's Texas A&M or Tennessee, another physical team that they're going to have to deal with. You look at the bottom half, Alabama, Florida, Kentucky, these teams like to get up and down. They can score and win with finesse. And I think it's going to favor the teams that can win with finesse, shooting the basketball, getting up and down, because you don't want to take those body blows. You do want to remain keeping your bodies fresh and not having the injuries that maybe you have when you're playing such a physical grind-out style. But Auburn definitely has a bullseye on them. They're starting to slip a little bit, and teams will be ready to try to knock off a number one seed.
SEC Networks and Alabama alum Rich Hendrix with us this morning. Rich, when you look at this tournament, man, it's competitive from top to bottom, man. Even a bad team's got an opportunity to beat anybody in this tournament. Who is a team that can pull a Mississippi State, in your opinion, if it gets to that, considering Florida, Tennessee, and a couple others are still vying for that number one overall seed? Do you see that being the year that this could happen in the tournament?
Well, I think the team that I would look at that's not starting their play on Friday, it's going to obviously be Kentucky. I mean, if anyone's been to an SEC tournament, you know that Big Blue Nation is going to travel. Yeah. They're going to make Nashville a home court advantage for them. And they're starting to get healthy at the right time of the season. They're coming off a win in their last game, which is big for momentum. And they know that they haven't been able to play their best basketball all season long because they've been riddled with injuries. They've had Lamont Butler, who's been out, the point guard who sets the tone defensively. Andrew Carr has missed some time. Jackson Robinson has had a wrist issue that has kept him out. Now, Otega Owe has been playing high-level ball, and that five-out offense that they run with Amari Williams at the top, who makes a lot of plays with the dribble handoffs and the backdoor cuts. It really makes them a dangerous team because they spread you out and you have to be honest on the defensive end. And if they can guard, then they're a team that I believe they are confident and think that they can get it done. So that's a team that I look at just because they are talented. They've been riddled with injuries. If they can be healthy and that fan base coming in there trying to take over, it makes it a road game for most teams.
Richard Hendrix with us this morning. Rich, man, looking at this schedule, man, you look at today, you look at Thursday, look at Friday. It really is ascending up with the level of talent that's coming into town on Friday with Auburn, Tennessee, Florida, and Alabama, man. I know the big dogs are coming to town. I think y'all are having game day coming in. Rich, how big is the SEC? And also, how crucial is it for an SEC team or teams to play well in this, to lead into what like March Madness the tournament is? Because again, you can talk all you want to, but like solidifying this momentum with the ring coming out of the SEC has to be at the forefront of all these head coaches that are playing on Friday specifically.
Oh, you're spot on. I mean, listen, this is a huge tournament. I think this is probably the best SEC tournament that I've ever seen as far as having these quality teams. And with that being the case, like, you want to be there, you want to be the one who can get it done at the end of the day. But to me, it's been since 2012 since the SEC has won a national championship. We've heard it all season long. The SEC is the most dominant conference. They've been playing the best basketball. It's the toughest league. Some people have said this is the NBA South. And I think if you look at all of these quality teams, the only thing that matters is who can win the national championship. Because if you are the other conferences and the other power teams throughout the country, there's just a bullseye that's been put on the SEC's back. You're going to play any team in the tournament, and you're going to say, hey, this one, just like we say, it just means more. So it's going to be important for the SEC to obviously get it done in March in the NCAA tournament. That's what's going to matter more than anything. You want to see if we can have one team and potentially multiple teams in the Final Four and then have the last team standing when it's all said and done.
Richard Hendrix of the SEC Network joining us this morning on RKW. We're talking about the SEC tournament starting up today in Nashville. Speaking of Nashville, their team right here on West End, Vanderbilt, they will play today. Now, they ended the season with 2 straight losses, Richard, but when it comes to this tournament, what could you see this team doing?
Well, I think they'll have another tough challenge because there's always a tough challenge, but Texas is a team that's playing for their NCAA tournament life. They're hoping, just like any team, when you get into the SEC tournament, everyone always feels like they have new life. You are just hoping that somehow, it hasn't been clicking all season long, but you're just hoping that it clicks at the right moment so you can win a couple games in the last moment to try to improve your NCAA tournament resume and maybe even win a championship so you can say that you're the SEC champion. I can remember when my last year in college, Georgia actually was like one of the last seeds. They won 4 games in like 3 days because it was a tornado that hit the Georgia Dome in a game that I was actually playing in.
Oh, wow.
And they won the championship game. I mean, they won the SEC after winning 3 or 4 games. So it can happen. Teams are definitely going to be thinking that they can, make a Cinderella run. So Vanderbilt is a team that obviously is slipping. They're going to have a tough matchup against Texas. But I just look at what Vandy has done throughout the course of the season. This is a team that was picked to be 16th. You got a new head coach, new players, not too many returners on the roster. And they have come out and done a phenomenal job. They had sewn up their NCAA tournament slot with several games to go. And so they're a dangerous team. They can turn you over. They can make shots with Tyler Nickel. And they're a tough team. So they're going to be a tough out, and I look forward to watching them.
Richard Hendrix of the SEC Network joining us this morning on RKW. We have talked a little bit about in years past and leading into this year too, just the future of these conference tournaments. And I want you, in your opinion, in terms of why they need to continue to do this, because you just had mentioned too, there are teams that can win the tournament and get on a roll. I saw Oregon State do it a few years back and actually upset the Vols in that first round. So why is it important to keep these tournaments in place?
Oh, I think it's important because you want to continue to have the opportunity to be a champion. Basketball is a tournament sport. At the end of the day, you're going to have, it's a tournament sport. And you get the opportunity to play these games on consecutive days, and it gives everybody a shot to compete. I would also say, why would you want to remove the pageantry of this? I mean, if you're going to be in Nashville and see this, you're going to see all of the fan bases file in one venue, the bands playing all of the different fight songs and things. You get to see the teams warm up. It's just an environment that, for me as a basketball person and being around my entire life, I wish they would have some type of conference tournament twice a year. I mean, if you go play basketball professionally in Europe, everybody starts off a season with a preseason cup, which is the same thing. And then you finish off with the tournament at the end of the year. I would love to see it. I would love them to remove all of the cupcake games in the middle of the season or early in the season and just have one of these tournaments like this with the teams that you can recognize as opposed to the neutral site things on a beach somewhere against teams that you're not going to see again to improve your tournament resume. Get the fans what they want to see. I want to see Alabama play Tennessee again. I want to see LSU play Auburn. I want to see Kentucky playing, any team right there all season long. That's what I would prefer to see, and they need to consider never letting this type of stuff go because it's the best time of the year.
I love that. That's a great idea. Put that in Nashville, too. We'll take it. And, Richard, it is cool. I know you being just a local here, too, like basketball in the state of Tennessee is in such a good place. And I know, Lipscomb makes the NCAA tournament. You've got Belmont. You've got Memphis that is going to make the NCAA tournament as well this year. I mean, Richard, this really does feel like a good time for hoops. I know the high school hoops scene has really always been strong in Nashville. I think it doesn't get enough credit because of how much of a high school football hotbed we are as well. But, Richard, it does feel like basketball is kind of having a moment in Tennessee right now, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, and it's having a moment all over the South. Listen, it's just one of these things where basketball, to most people, is just a break from football. I mean, the reality of it is, listen, we talk about football all year long. When football ends, we're going to talk about the football spring practice. We're going to talk about the recruiting. We're going to talk about – and then we give basketball a little bit of love. But the reality of it is, you mentioned what's going on here in the South and in Nashville. Vanderbilt has a good team. Lenny Acuff. And Lipscomb just got it done going into the NCAA tournament. I'm out here in the American Conference, be on the call. Memphis is the number 1 seed in that league. You go down south to my state in Alabama, UAB is a top team. Samford was a top team. They got upset in their tournament. Alabama and Auburn amongst the elite. So every single team in that state and in Tennessee, they're battling. So it's a great thing to see for a basketball league right now to see that all of these local schools are some of the best teams in the country. I think they deserve more love, but I'm a basketball guy. But at the same time, I like a little football too.
A little football, come on, Rich. I love it. I like how Rich pushed back a little bit, man. Just off top too, how important was it, man? To I know Caleb asked you about this, and it's been brought up numerous times for Vanderbilt and also Kentucky, man. Say what you want to about them. They gonna travel. They gonna always buy tickets, and you gonna know their presence, man. But how big was it for those two programs to get back level with the amount of with the amount of wins that they've had this year too, and just reset themselves quickly?
Oh, it's important. I mean, you do have to have, as you mentioned, Kentucky, a team with that type of following. It's important for them to be a really good team. But it's important to get things going, obviously, as I said, at the right time. You want to reset. This is what the tournament is all about. It's a reset. It's a start over. You can let all of that stuff go that you had in the season that was a problem, and you get a moment to breathe after this last game to see if you can get it together. Now, in my experience, it doesn't really happen. I mean, you're just hoping. I mean, if you've been struggling all season long, I mean, what makes you really think that you're going to turn it around now after a couple of days off? But you got a chance, and that's what it's all about. The tournament is that you always have a shot, and that's the cool thing about it, and you can never underestimate any team because you can get hot at the right time.
Richard Hendrix of the SEC Network has been our guest this morning on Ramon, Caleb, and Will. Hey, you're a grinder, man. I always look up, and Richard's just on TV talking hoops somewhere. American Conference next, man. There's some good hoops over there in that conference as well, no doubt about it. So have a great calls, enjoy it, and I appreciate the time as always.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Yes, sir.
Rich.
Richard Hendrix joining us this morning. I love the way he breaks it down, man. Does a great job.
Rich good at it. I like that. He's one of those SEC Network guys that are probably going to be a big star for him, too.
Absolutely.
Oh, he
No
is.
I love the preseason tournament idea. I had never heard anyone talk about that before. I think it's awesome.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to do it and you're going to have it succeed, it will be down here.
Yeah.
Like, especially the state of what this program this conference is in terms of hoops.
It is. I think it is one way to really profile what the conference is going to look like at the beginning stages of it, too. It kind of sets you up, I think, in a good way if you're a coach that's right-minded, because here's what we do know. Like, if you do it at the beginning of the season, like, teams morph so much over the course of the season, good and bad, to where that tournament, it shouldn't hurt you in those moments.
I think you're going to start seeing more tournaments also have an NIL cash prize for the winning team.
Yeah.
Stop.
It makes sense.
Tennessee's going to a tournament the next, I think, 3 years. They've signed up to go to Vegas for that player-led kind of like player tournament where there's NIL money for all the teams that play in the tournament.
There's money involved in this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, I'll show you in the break.
No. I love that. Okay, let me just throw that out there. I'm shocked.
It started, I think it started
Incentives, man.
2 years ago and started to become a bigger thing. But yeah, they did it this year too. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And you get to go to Vegas.
And you get to go to Vegas. I mean, the coach is going to have parameters around them. I hope. These boys now, heck, they don't even care.
Man, if there's one thing,
gamble,
that is the first compliance meeting we had as athletes was don't gamble. Please don't gamble. Hey, did we mention you shouldn't gamble? Please, for the love of God, don't get all the time.
I heard those
It's
slots are struggling over there, too. So bring over
Vegas,
as much as you can. It's struggling right now.
I've heard Vegas is kind of dead.
It is.
Is it?
Online sportsbook. People don't have to go place a bet in person at sportsbooks as much.
And I mean, just people are not wanting to spend money right now.
Sure.
I mean, the high rollers can play online now.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? And if you're a high roller, I mean, how much you already got your own private jet and comp on anyway. I'm just saying, I saw the reason I say it because I did see somebody post about that. It was a hotel casino out there that was pretty much overcharging folks. It was just like they're not showing up anymore because they don't have to.
And there's so many.
And then they're charging you also, they're saying over like comp rooms and pay that you got to pay. Like you're getting money comp, but you're really not. That's still
free
stealing.
Drinks though while you're sitting
Free
there
drinks?
doing the slots.
Look, I ain't been in one in a while.
I haven't either. I'm not really a gambler.
I went by myself covering the draft for the station a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's right, you did. Man, look, I got a pair of dice. We can go shoot dice out in the hallway, man. How much money y'all got?
Coming up next, stream the show live, 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. What is one move around the NFL that surprised or impressed you? What caught your eye yesterday in the league? We'll talk about that next. What's up? It's Will Bowling from my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center. With March here and warmer weather approaching, many of us are going to be outside more. You're gardening. You're going to sporting events. Maybe you're just heading out to the beach, taking a nice dip in the pool. Well, I want to tell you about a revolutionary new product, the Phonak Audio Sphere, which is not only designed to help you hear when there's background noise, but it's also the only completely waterproof hearing aid on the market. Whether you're working up a sweat in the yard or you're enjoying water activities with your kids, your grandkids, your buddies, there's no longer a need to remove your hearing aids. Even around water, you can still participate in conversations. For a demonstration of the Phonak Sphere, you got to check out Brentwood Hearing Center, 615-377-0420. They've got all the best technology on the market. They've got doctors of audiology ready to hear your needs and take care of them for you. Visit them online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com or call them 615-377-0420. That's Brentwood Hearing Center. Better hearing, better life. RKW is brewed by Scooter's Coffee this morning on 104.5 The Zone, with locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Download the Scooter's Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. Guys, day 2 of legal tampering yesterday. The new league year begins today. What caught your eye in terms of moves around the league yesterday?
Moves around the league yesterday. How hot and aggressive Chicago is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
They actually look like they're making the right moves between them and Buffalo at this point right now. I ain't gonna lie, I got a homeboy as a huge Chicago Bears fan, and I've just been messing with him, joking with him. I like Caleb, but I've been messing with him.
They're used to it by now, too, these Bears fans.
Of course. And look.
Sound like Bane.
Of course.
They do live in the darkness, though.
They do, man. Like, the moves that they've made, I feel like, again, if it can work, again, they got the young quarterback they saw some good stuff out of. They went and traded for 2 offensive linemen. They went out and got defense. Grady Jarrett going out. I did not see that happening right there. Chicago, I think, has made some solid moves to kind of set themselves up moving forward. They got to get the receivers and stuff like that, I guess, in check, but they got a stud of one. They just got to find an offense for them. They got a guy, Caleb Williams, some defense. Some protection around them too.
I have 2 parts to this, because the one part where that it made me, stop for a second and say, oh, where's he going, when I was covering the game last night. It was DeAndre Hopkins, because I saw the thing come down in terms of the alert from Adam Schefter, and I immediately thought, what team is he going to? So that caught my eye, obviously, because I kept wanting to read the story, and then seeing that he obviously has connected with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry reunion here with the Ravens, and, he still has teams believing that he has life in him, contrary to the belief that really last year, what did he do in Kansas City? Not much, but he gets a 1-year, $5 million deal. They need wide receivers, so if you can get him for the cheap, you might as well try. And Lamar and him have a rapport, so.
Yeah, I reached out to Bert on this one a little bit as a resident Baltimore fan. He was just like, this was a Lamar move. Lamar wanted him last year. He said, and now he finally got the opportunity to get this guy. You can make more plays. You get that type of flex for yourself. And I think the storyline of this for me, too, is the aggressive team. The good teams in the league, Minnesota, Detroit, they're all Baltimore. They were more aggressive than I thought. Minnesota.
Yeah, aggressive.
I think they win. They win the offseason. They win the first week of free agency.
They have to, though. J.J. McCarthy is their quarterback.
I said first week of free agency.
J.J. McCarthy is their quarterback. They have no other option right now. He's coming off of injury. They have no option. They're the guy. They didn't keep Daniel Jones. He's the guy, I should say. Yeah. So they're doing everything they can to make sure that they are padding him up to be ready for the season. Another one that I liked that was it wasn't like mind-blowing or anything, and some people might even wonder who, but the Atlanta Falcons took Leonard Floyd. He was released by the 49ers just recently. They picked him up for one of the cheaper deals in terms of edge rushers. 1 year, $10 million deal. He's an older guy, but he has been super productive, you guys, when you look at him. 8.5 sacks last year. First 49er after signing a 2-year, $20 million contract this offseason. He finished, though, second with the Niners in sacks, just behind Nick Bosa. He's been super reliable. I think the Falcons got him on the cheap for a 1-year deal. I'd take it.
No doubt.
Yeah, I would have definitely done that deal if he was interested in coming here.
Me too.
I saw somebody on Twitter say that a receiver's old when they go to the Ravens or Titans.
Oh, boy. Damn.
Not a single lie was detected.
It's not a lie.
Not a single lie was detected.
Both of them.
For sure. Maybe they'll change that here narrative in Tennessee.
I guess the Ravens, they're obviously a lot more relevant right now, but they've had some similar profiles of wide receiver. I think if Joey Bosa is healthy, it's a big if. Yep. If Joey Bosa is healthy for the Buffalo Bills, what an amazing addition that is for $12.5 million. 72 career sacks, of course. He's been banged up. He'll be 30 when the season begins. Similar mold to just what they did with Von Miller.
Yep.
Honestly, it's just a little bit of a younger Von Miller at this point, but everything Buffalo is trying to do at this point is about how do we finally beat Patrick Mahomes and how do we get past Kansas City's weakness, which is protecting Patrick Mahomes at this point, especially on the edge, and especially with a totally new offensive line. And I really like that move for Buffalo.
I do too. I like it too because, as you said too, and I keep going back to this point. Let me make this point real quick. When you have a method that works for you, you just remove one, put another one in place. You just mentioned they've dealt with this situation before with an injury older guy and Von Miller. They're doing the exact same thing with Bosa. They're paying a young defensive lineman at this point, and they're trying to figure out how in the world do we get past the boogeyman in Kansas City at this point. And it may work out for them, man. It's I thought they made some good moves this offseason, too, with the stuff that they've done. The good teams seem to be stacking up, and it's kind of fascinating to watch all of these teams that got quarterbacks really pour into what they got going on. I'll say this, too. The biggest conversation I feel like that's been had is the amount of money that's been thrown out for a lot of different guys. Running back position, now you get 9.5 to go to the Chargers.
And people either like that or they hated it.
Or it's
very hardball.
Yeah.
It's that position and it's the safety. All of them, I feel like, have kind of raised the floor a little bit right now in this free agency. Maybe it's because of the TV deals and everything else, but the amount of money that's going out, I've seen a lot of people like, that's too much. Like, no, it's not. Like, we are all paying. How many subscriptions?
Not enough.
How many subscriptions you got, Will?
Way too many.
Way too many.
I can't even keep track or know what my passwords are for half of them.
I've got an app, thankfully, that keeps track of all of them where I can cancel them.
Keep saying, I'm going to get rid of them. And then
you need
5 months
Paramount
later,
to watch a game.
Exactly. And then Peacock comes along and, they've got the sports now and they've got some of the shows I watch. And so it's like, oh, gosh.
Well, that's one thing. That's one big conversation I feel like that's been had that we all, as fans of the game, will have to recondition ourselves to. Is there's a lot of bread that's been poured into the Shield.
Absolutely.
Sure is. NFL's king. I mean, their basketball's having a moment right now, and the SEC is the best it's ever been, and we're going to spend 90% of our show today talking about NFL free agency.
And this is what it is in most
markets. That's what people want to hear.
It's not just here.
With an NFL team, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
In 32 cities, they're doing the same thing as us right now.
No doubt about it.
By the way, because he's taking so much crap, you just got to tip the cap to him because he stayed long enough to get to this point.
Oh, boy.
Christian Fulton.
Oh, my God. I know. He's going to Kansas City.
I saw a tweet this morning that the Chiefs restructured 2 deals, including Mahomes's, to create $49 million in cap space to make room for Christian Fulton. Yep. What a wild concept.
To be fair, he was pretty good last year, except for, obviously,
injuries
did get injured at the end of the year. But he wasn't as bad as he had been with the Titans.
I will give credit where credit is due. Christian, congratulations. That's big.
Absolutely. Good for him.
Absolutely. That's big.
Good for him. I mean, he's when he's on the field, he's always been a pretty solid corner.
Yeah.
There were moments the last year with the Titans where he was getting picked on a little bit. But again, it's kind of like playing left tackle. Like it is a thankless job to where when you get beat, you are everyone's least favorite player, and when you do your job for 95% of the game, you don't get enough credit. So I've always been critical. I think we've always been critical of Christian Fulton, but a lot of that was just because he couldn't stay healthy and things of that nature. But when he's been on the field, he's been a decent player.
Yeah, he has.
2 for 20, good for him.
Was it a fleece from Houston to take Christian Kirk like that too?
I think that was a good move. Now, Laramie Tunsil was one of the most boneheaded things that's happened all offseason.
That was the weird move we talked about, Mo, when you were gone.
Yeah. But Christian Kirk wasn't bad, yeah.
They got to protect CJ at some point. Like, his numbers decreased last year, and he wasn't protected well, and he threw a lot of interceptions. Like, they got to pad out that offensive line at some point.
When you only have one good offensive lineman and you've got a chance to trade that lineman, you just do it. Yeah. I say as sarcastically as I possibly can.
You know where I was headed.
Oh, boy.
What?
Jeff!
Yeah.
Jeffrey Simmons? He's not a left tackle. What are you talking about?
You said lineman.
615-737-1045. That's on me. I'll take the blame for that one. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. It is?
Yes.
You've been listening to me. If you always listen to me. You guys do. You guys always do that. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine is gone. Why weren't the Titans interested? Next.
There's a lot going on right here in Middle Tennessee, especially Nashville, and we all love that. A growing city, though, can make you a little bit in a position where you can't find exactly what you need or who you can trust. That includes a real estate agent. That is why you need to check out my friend Bernie Gallerani. Bernie Gallerani has years of experience. He's going to know the neighborhoods and care about your buying or selling needs. In fact, Bernie guarantees to sell your home in 30 days or less, or he's just going to buy it from you. Finding the right home takes time. We all know that, right? And Charisse, that meant taking 6 months of searching for the perfect place. That is where Bernie Gallerani Real Estate made all the difference. From day one, the team was patient, answering every question of hers and making the entire process smooth and stress-free. So when Charisse was ready, she found her perfect home. Bernie is the only real estate agent here in Nashville, recommended by Barbara Corcoran of Shark Tank, and the only agent I would trust to sell my home. So give him a call on his cell phone, 615-428-2644. That's 615-428-2644, or go to BernieGallerani.com.
8:02 from the 104.5 The Zone studios. Good morning. I'm Will Bowling. The Titans were busy yesterday adding veterans and subtracting others. Let's talk about who they added first. The team added 29-year-old safety Xavier Woods, who spent last season with the Carolina Panthers. Woods signs a 2-year, $10 million deal. They also agreed to bring back safety Mike Brown, who played in all 17 games, including 4 starts for the Titans in 2024. At punter, Ryan Stonehouse will not return to the team, confirmed by a post on his Twitter account. And reports say the Titans will bring in 4-time All-Pro punter Johnny Hecker. The 35-year-old spent last season with the Carolina Panthers and spent time with new special teams coach John Fossil as a member of the St. Louis and L.A. Rams. Wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Ikhine will have a new home as well. The former Titan will reportedly sign a 2-year, $6.5 million deal with the Miami Dolphins. The former undrafted receiver led the Titans with 9 receiving touchdowns last year to go along with a career-high 497 yards. 5-time Pro Bowl defensive end Joey Bosa reached an agreement last night on a 1-year, $12.6 million deal with the Buffalo Bills. His 72 career sacks rank second in Chargers history. Today, hoops inside Bridgestone Arena as the SEC men's basketball tournament begins. 12-seed Vanderbilt takes on Texas at approximately 2:30. The Commodores beat the Longhorns 86-78 when these teams clashed on February 8th inside Memorial Gym. 9-seed Arkansas and 16-seed South Carolina kick off the tournament at noon. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. RKW is brewed up by Scooter's Coffee for a fresh hour this morning on 104.5 The Zone. 615-737-1045 is the number, and NWI is out. Going to MIA. He will be MIA in the Music City. 2 years, $6.5 million deal, $3.2 million guaranteed with the Miami Dolphins. Career highs in 2024, 497 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns. ESPN.com. The Dolphins have searched extensively for a third wide receiver behind Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Westbrook-Ikhine will compete with second-year wideout Malik Washington, as well as whoever else the team brings in this offseason. Why on earth, guys, were the Titans not in the market for Nick Westbrook-Ikhine at $3 and some change million per year for 2 years?
Why were they not? I do think there's a little bit of a purge going on at this point with players of old and what they want to do. That's the first thing that comes to mind to me, first and foremost. And they probably also didn't want to do more than a 1-year deal with a guy like NWI also. Again, shaking that free agent, college free agent tag that guys have on them is one of the hardest things to do in this league, because at that point you're always held at a lower standard when it comes down to your expectations, also to the money you expected to be paid also. And then NWI was a guy that said it. And once you have a child, a lot of stuff changes in those moments. Security financially means a lot to you. And him being able to get that 2 for $6+ million meant a lot for him. Why the Titans didn't do it? Heck, the coach said it last year, and Coach Callahan. It took him a while to realize what kind of player he was at that point, and do you take that time again to scheme him up again? That's where you got to figure out the flow of the offense. Can it include NWI as much as you want it to with what Coach Brian Callahan wants to do in this team with this offense? It seems to be the answer is no.
It's head-scratching to me, not going to lie. I think we were maybe seeing the only reason why they don't keep him is because of the money that he was going to get somewhere else. That's not the case. By the way, bravo to Miami. I think what they've done with their offense so far is good. I mean, by the way, you added him to a room where you mentioned the 2 wide receivers. Oh, yeah, they also had Jonnu Smith, who has been really good for them as of late. So they're doing what they need to do. As of the Titans, and I know it's March 12th, but I don't know what's going on in this wide receiver room, guys, because Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, at the end of the year, made it clear he would love to come back here. All he wanted was more than a 1-year deal. And so it makes me think it was not his decision at all that he was not able to come back. It makes me think they are purging this roster, which is fine if you have a plan. But right now, I don't even know what the plan is, because when you look inside this wide receiver room, you have Calvin Ridley, you have Treylon Burks, but let's all admit, I keep even forgetting he's on the roster.
Who's that,
I don't
Treylon?
mean to be disrespectful,
he was injured too.
But Treylon Burks, if you haven't shown it yet, you're not going to show it now. And it makes me think that while there might be a plan, it's a pretty aggressive plan, because in a plan that's going to be newish, even if you go get your receivers in the draft, and there are going to be some unknowns, why would bringing back NWI, having a piece that has been able to work with every quarterback you've brought in here, he's been able to have the connection and have production. I just don't see why you wouldn't keep a piece like that for cheap.
Yeah, so at the beginning of all this, you could understand them being priced out of the Nick Westbrook-Ikhine market and trying to have Nick Westbrook-Ikhine at home and try to make Bryce Oliver your new Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Try to make Tay Martin your new Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Yeah. Colton Dowell coming back healthy. But at the same time, for $3 million a year, you can do that and pay Nick Westbrook-Ikhine.
Right.
That's what I don't understand. If this had been $8 million a year or $10 million a year, maybe we're having a different discussion. But at that price, I do not understand why they're not bringing it back.
I don't either.
I don't think it makes sense. I think you could have some kind of constant in that room, even if you do draft 2 receivers or sign another one and he's wide receiver 4. He is one of the only guys that you can count on to step up when his number and name is called. And I think it's a head scratcher.
He's also 27 years old, guys. No. He's not 30.
It's a head scratcher for sure.
As you're scratching your head, I love
know because I'm parsing through this because I want to be very respectful. I want to be very respectful to him, but like beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Also, when it comes down to these types of players, that's Stoney and that's NWI too. Like the Titans love him because of what they've done here. But it may not be the same way that Coach Brian Callahan felt about it.
Or Borgonzi.
That's
what I
Chad
think
Brinker or any of the other 4 general managers that are splitting the general manager job.
I think I misspoke when I said get the old players out. What I meant is Vrabel's guys out too. Is what I meant by that. Like the old, because that seems to be what's happening more than anything. Is they're trying to reset this.
At the end of the day, it's a punter and it's a 4th wide receiver. But I think specifically here, considering the absence of consistent players and the absence of talent on this roster, it does feel more significant to Titans fans than just losing a punter and a 4th wide receiver. It feels like you legitimately lost 2 fan favorites yesterday.
Sure.
That many other markets would probably laugh at us for talking about this much. Like I even saw someone in our YouTube comment section this morning saying, like, why are we spending so much time talking about the punter? Well, because you guys care about the punter. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that's very well liked. He's a good personality. He is consistent in what he does. He came back from injury and didn't have his best season last year, but came on strong towards the end of the year. And look, we saw what can happen if you don't get special teams right. It can cost you multiple games. Yeah. So, that's why we're talking about the punter. That's why we'll talk about the kicker whenever they sign that one, which could be Nick Folk or could be somebody younger. Could be someone that John Fossil's worked with. But I don't blame Titans fans for feeling like the rug's been pulled out from under them. Unlike 2 of the only players they liked are now gone. And you are left with a lot less players that you really like on this roster, even if it is just a punter and a backup receiver.
And to be fair, too, to that same point, Will, about why we're speaking about him, like at a certain point last year, or it may have been a year before, too, we're speaking about a guy like Stonehouse being like the team MVP of somebody that's made the most plays between him and Nick Folk, almost a 40-year-old kicker. Right? Those are the conversations we would have because offensively, you didn't get much out of many of the guys last year. I heard Blaine bring this up yesterday on Blaine and Zach, and he's speaking about Calvin Ridley getting 1,000 yards. Like, that's where you were. Like, Calvin was forced to go get the 1,000 yards. Not because of Calvin's play or his pace, because they need to justify how good of a player he was, too. And that was probably one of the best points I've heard be made
That's interesting.
About how you build a team, where this team is as far as talent and stuff like that, too. So
money talks.
Yes, to be respectful to them, those dudes will answer the call almost every single time. So that's why we have to talk about them.
Yeah, totally. I think it's fair. News of the NFL this morning a few minutes ago. The Buffalo Bills are once again adding to their front 7, adding AFC North veteran Larry Ogunjobi to their defensive line on a 1-year deal for around $8 million.
Larry O'Good.
He was the Derrick Henry stopper for the Cincinnati Bengals in the playoff game against the
That's
Titans.
right.
He was. Larry O's been consistent.
He has been.
For Pittsburgh. If he can stay healthy, it's one of his things, stand on the field. But I remember playing against him when he was in Cleveland as a low-round guy, or was he undrafted also?
Yeah.
You could tell at that age like he was going to be something, and he's turned it into check after check and team after team.
He's played for every AFC North team except Baltimore.
So Baltimore
Wow,
right
that's
now.
impressive.
Yeah, it is. It is. But
Good player.
he's a good player. You'd like
Run
to have
stopper.
him. I would have liked to have seen him here, but when you're a free agent, you got options.
Yep.
Right. Him next to Ed Oliver and Joey Bosa and Greg Rousseau. And
My bad.
Buffalo, interesting the way they rotate so many of their edge rushers. They like to have a stable of them and keep them all fresh. Kind of the opposite of the way Mike Vrabel and really even Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan were last year, with kind of only having like 3 or 4 guys who play a ton of snaps.
Yep.
Interesting. I like their front seven. I like what they're doing, Buffalo.
Yes.
Just got to get past the boogeyman named Mahomes
they
over in
do.
Kansas City.
And they extended also Terrell Bernard, also the linebacker for Baltimore. For Buffalo. They've done a lot.
Coming up next, how the quarterback conversation continues to evolve here in Nashville. So a Boston reporter is putting out there that don't rule out the Titans for Carson Wentz. We have talked about Mac Jones. Are those quarterbacks coming here to start, or do you want them to come here to back up Cam Ward? Or is it a bridge? A little bit of both. We'll talk about that coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Secure Lawn, man. I'm getting ready to talk to you right now about your grass, man. Y'all know who you are. You're the ones who walk around your yard every day getting mad when you see weeds. That was me last night. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I came back into Tennessee, went back on my patio deck, and I was just like, where did all these weeds come from? And I won't lie. I got upset about it. But hear me out. I got a company that can take care of that for you right now. It's Secure Lawn, man. They are adamant about providing a prime service to their customers. That means, listen, no weeds that you'll see repeating coming back into your yard. You'll have a thick grass, a lush grass, one that your neighbors will be envious about, man. And I can't wait till they come over and service my yard and get us right, man. It is one of the best decisions that I've made switching to them. And not just that, man. They've been here for over 20 years, too. They're family owned and operated, and they are local. One of the best things I like doing is doing business with local folks. The punctual, quick response time, and all the things you need. So whether you have, your residential grass, commercial grass, even for you coaches out there, the athletic grass, go ahead and get a head start on it, man, before the spring weather kicks up, and reach out to the company I trust at Secure Lawn. You can call them at 615-893-8455 or go to securelawn.com.
RKW is brewed by Scooters Coffee on 104.5 The Zone. Download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead. Save $2 off your first mobile order. We got the Scooter Doodle Blend going this morning. The movement is spreading, as Ramon has also given it a vote of approval today.
All three of us are drinking.
Oh, really? Are you?
Yeah,
I didn't know you were
I
too.
made one in the pod first thing when I stepped into the building.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very,
Took your
very
advice and put in the Keurig and was good to go.
I love it. Mike Garafolo this morning with some funny news for Titans fans. This is crazy. Veteran guard Sadiq Charles is coming out of retirement and will be a free agent available to sign with teams. The former Commanders fourth rounder who played a couple weeks of practice under Bill Callahan and said, nope, don't want to play football anymore. Well, now he will play football again and said Garafolo he will be released by the Titans today.
This is wild, considering the fact that a lot of the offensive line issues last year, not like would have been solved by him, but I think a lot of people had faith that he could possibly be a starter on the line last year. And for him to retire, and I'd love to know really the details, because there are things that happen, you guys, with these players in their lives. They're players, but they're people too. There are things that happen. So I don't know the logistics and what was going on at the time. However, it just looks wild when you think about it, because the Titans suffered so much in terms of linemen last year. And now he's like, oh, I'm back. I'm going to be released. I'll go find a new team, but it won't be the Titans.
Yeah, no, that's comical to me. That is very comical to me. And wow, there's no other way for some guys to earn. And I'll be completely honest with you dudes, not you dudes, you guys.
Dudes, you know.
I mean, dude, we're all dudes. Yeah, we're all dudes at this point. If you gotta retire to quit, then there's no reason for you to come back at this point. Like, that's the way I look at that situation. Like, if you're done, just be done. I get it. Probably reality set in retirement, sitting that year out and stuff like that. Probably seeing guys get paid that are lesser than you at this point, too. Probably play a part in it. Like, just ask for a release at that point.
Look, we're missing the lead here. Sadiq Charles knew the Titans were bad before any of the rest of us.
I know. That's...
Maybe he is the best evaluator of talent that was in that building. Why isn't Sadiq Charles needs to retire again and get some GM jobs?
He might have.
Go be a scout.
It wasn't even connected with Callahan, Bill?
Yeah, Washington.
Yeah, he was at some point. Yeah. Sure was. That's fascinating, man. Man, like you said, Will, he probably quit because he knew how bad the season was going to be.
We were all still selling, hey, this team could be pretty good. And hey, they're undefeated in preseason. Sadiq Charles, No. Anyway, you got to laugh to hide the pain.
Yeah, you do have to laugh. He's a reserve guy right now at this point anyhow, but still, he could have came in handy. You just going into year 5 for a lot of those players, which is what it would have been for him last year, is when you start to extend up even more.
If he'd been good, Dylan Radins could have been your right tackle last year.
I mean, we got answers
there's
now.
No lies right there. Seriously.
Now. Jeez, that man dropped out and hopped back in.
That is crazy news.
So maybe he has something crazy going on,
and that's
too.
What I said. That's what I said. I don't know the details, but still.
About that.
It doesn't look good.
At Ramon Kayla Will on Twitter, where you can stream the show and where you can vote on our poll this morning that says, after 2 days of free agency, what is your choice if you can't trade back and have to pick at number 1? Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, or Shedeur Sanders. 65% of you say Cam Ward. 25% of you are going with Abdul Carter. 7% Travis Hunter. And just 4% Shedeur Sanders as his stock continues to fall out of the NFL Combine. So at this point, guys, Ben Volen of the Boston Globe puts out there if the Titans are in the mix in the market for Carson Wentz. Is there a scenario in your mind where the Titans can start for 2025 Carson Wentz or Mac Jones? Because right now, those are the two mid-level veteran quarterback options that have been linked to the Tennessee Titans. Zach Wilson was the other one. He is now out. He is a Miami Dolphin. Mm-hmm. Are you willing to start Carson Wentz or Mac Jones for the 2025 season?
Yeah, I am. Probably Mac Jones first, though. Carson Wentz concepts of being a starter in this league is somewhat shown his ugly head time and time again. I know he went to Kansas City, did a wash and rinse and all that type of stuff that he needed. but he ain't play that much. So how much can you believe that he's going to be somebody? Mac Jones at least is young enough. You can get him in soon enough to get the offense down. Again, his time in New England was just bad. I don't know if Bill was a head coach for him.
His first season wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, he ended up getting the Pro Bowl, however that works these days. But you look at this situation, he's young enough. Also, it's just telling, too, that this conversation is happening, and Will Levis hasn't even been brought up. So I don't think you can go back to Will Levis despite anything this offseason when it comes down to it. Everything has been it's been every quarterback but Will Levis at this point. That's the reason I'm saying that I see Mac Jones as your number one, Carson Wentz 2, and heck, if they go get Cam Ward at number 1 overall, that's your third option too. Anything but Will Levis. Yes, I see that being the case at Will. And again, I ain't saying they're going kamikaze with how they're going about this season, but there's a lot to rebuild, and you get a whole lot of ability to rebuild if you're picking high in the draft.
Yeah. If you pick Cam Ward still, I am fine with one of these options. And one of these options only, and that's Mac Jones. Thinking about Carson Wentz coming here makes me vomit in my mouth.
Really?
Yes.
As a backup or as a bridge?
Just a bridge, a backup. I just don't think at this point this guy is worthy of even that type of a spot, considering I think I look at it as I'd rather have draft Cam Ward, bring in Mac Jones. If you need to start Mac Jones to start the season, I feel more confident in Mac Jones starting the season than having Cam take over at some point than I am the latter. I just look at Carson Wentz, guys. He has not played football in the last 3 years. He's played in 3 years, 13 games. 13 games. And we're talking a guy that has issues when he does play a full season or tries to play a full season in terms of all the things that he's gone through. He's 32 years old. If you look at Mac Jones, if there is another option, and this is why you choose Mac Jones, he's young. He's 6 at this point.
Mac Jones, he's a young player.
He is a guy that I don't think has had his full potential taken out of him yet. He was okay for Jacksonville last year when he was plugged in when Trevor got hurt and was done for the rest of the season. He actually beat the Titans.
Twice.
Yeah. And so I think he has more potential, whether it be a backup or a starter at some point, than Carson Wentz. Do not bring Carson Wentz here.
So the facts on Carson Wentz, for those wanting more background on him, 32 years old next season. Spent 2016 through 2020 for Philadelphia. I think when you look at some of the injuries he suffered, I think he's had some rotten luck, to be honest with you. 2017, tears his ACL when he was 11-2 as a starter, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I would love to see the alternate history of A, if Philly wins that Super Bowl with him at quarterback, and B, what his career looks like without the torn ACL in 2017. I'm not advocating for signing him. I'm just curious what his career would have looked like without that injury, because he was really good.
Yes, he was.
He was in the middle of a great season, and since then was just never really the same. Missed the start of the 2018 season due to that torn ACL, and then missed the final 3 games of 2018 from a back vertebral fracture. Bad back injury. 5-6 as a starter that year. Quarterback rating was better, 102 quarterback rating, but he was sacked 31 times, which was more in less games than he was all of 2017. 2021, fast forward, gets jettisoned from Philadelphia, goes to Indy. 2021 in Indianapolis was his last full season as a starter. 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 94.6 quarterback rating. He took 32 sacks. About a decent Indy offensive line at that point. That's exactly the point. If you were signing up for 2021 Carson Wentz, maybe he is a bridge quarterback, and I'd be fine giving him all of 2025. If you could sign up for a mid-90s quarterback rating, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks, sure. This isn't 2021 Carson Wentz. 2-5 as a starter in 2022. He fractures his finger. His hand hits the arm of a defensive lineman in 2022. He played through it and then was placed on IR. Didn't start again until he was activated December 12th. Or didn't start again even after he was activated. Was benched at that point. And then he just became a backup. 1 start in 2023 with the Rams. And then 1 start last year in Week 18 for the Chiefs. He was 12 of 19 for 108 yards, no touchdowns. To me, I'm willing to give Mac Jones 2025 if Carson Wentz is the guy, I think he's coming to back up Cam Ward. That's where I'm at right now.
At 32 years old, whatever it is. Yeah,
I think he is a mentor. I think he's an older guy who's been around, show you the ropes, be a good voice in the room, show you where to go with the football, but he's not playing. Maybe like the first month of the season, but I'm not giving Carson Wentz more than 3 or 4 starts. I think at that point, Mac Jones, I could see getting a full season or close to it. Carson Wentz, no.
Yeah, and I don't want either of them to be full-time starters. I mean, I understand it makes more sense, Carson Wentz, to be a starter if Mac Jones is this young and feels like he could be somebody's quarterback moving forward. But the reality is nobody took him. Like, we saw the wave of free agency, and the 2 veterans that are still out there, Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, they're still being looked at before Mac Jones is as a reclamation project. So that just goes to show you the market for a guy like Mac Jones and trying to, give him new life. I would take Mac Jones as a backup, but I still want Cam Ward. But I understand what you're saying there. I know also who is interested, what I've read, is the Minnesota Vikings, now that they didn't get Daniel Jones as a back up, are interested in Carson Wentz too, which does make sense considering J.J. McCarthy needs somebody behind him.
Yeah, you do. And that's the veteran presence of Carson Wentz, too. He knows how to play his role. He's been in big-time moments. Like you said, like his last season as a starter, it went 9-8 with the Colts. Like, he was very serviceable. He did what you need him to do. It comes down to him, quick decision-making, and as of late, staying healthy. That's where he has to be. And again, when you look at this Titans situation as far as picking a quarterback or signing one in free agency, I was just having a conversation on our YouTube chat. It comes down to options. These are the options that you're left with at this point. Mac Jones, to me, it does to that point of, like, being able to resurrect a guy's career. Like, I'm all for, like, crapping on him, but, like, the right system, right settings, the right push to put a guy in a confident situation, you get Sam Darnold. That's what you get in those situations.
Yeah,
right
and
there.
I don't know the Titans are that team to give him new life right now. You were just talking about Cam Ward and maybe not
and that's
being
my
able. So I don't think that happens with Mac Jones either.
I'm doing the exact same thing with Cam Ward, too.
Right,
like,
and that's why I say Mac Jones might not work.
I'm just giving a
here
scenario
either.
of what I'm asking as far as both of those guys being in Tennessee. The scenario I'm giving is it can happen for either one of them as it pertains to them being better. Mac Jones does have pro experience. Cam Ward doesn't at this point, but they're coming to a team that needs a whole lot of assistance as far as quarterback play goes. And at this point, both Mac Jones and Cam Ward, to me, are both on the same level with with Mac probably been a smidge higher just because he's been a pro. Cam's got to come in here and prove this thing, though, too, with the team that is going to be bad going into the season as of March 12th.
Yeah, I just think a lot of the reclamation projects, they have to be, like you said, in the right spot to really be able to be a reclamation project. And we don't see that as often. Geno Smith in Seattle, Sam Darnold in the Vikings situation, they were both in great spots to rejuvenate their careers. The point comes down to, guys, is no matter if you draft the quarterback or you sign a guy like Mac Jones, it's a tough spot to be in.
So are the Titans incapable of doing it right now then?
For which one?
For Mac Jones or Carson Wentz?
I don't think so. More so just Mac Jones, because we're talking about rejuvenating his career, right? Carson Wentz is kind of who he is. Who he is.
At this age, at 32, he still could go get it.
Yeah, I don't think it's the right spot to reset somebody in terms of a quarterback.
But it'd be a great starting point for Cam Ward.
I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be the perfect situation for him out of the gates. No, but just like Bryce Young, you mentioned earlier, he's still young enough. And I do think Cam's mentality as a player and the environment changes that he's had throughout his career and the places he's played and people he's played under in terms of offensive coordinator, new schemes, I do feel like he's mindset ready for what he could endure this first year, which is a little bit of chaos.
My point is, I guess, Mac has not advocating overly for Mac, but Mac has also been in those similar situations with the different teams that he's been with, dealing with Belichick, Peterson, and just becoming a starter later in last year and stuff like that, to be mentally ready for a new starting role if given the keys to the franchise in the offseason again. That's the point, is are the Titans incapable of making any of these quarterbacks good or sustainable? And that's when we're speaking about picking Cam Ward number one, is it sustainable? Or do you just say, screw it, we're going to buy in and we're just going to build and keep them for years to come?
So if I give you guys the two options, let's say Mac Jones for 2025, let's say Cam Ward is the draft pick in both of these options.
Okay, all right, perfect.
You draft Cam Ward. You have Mac Jones for 2025. You let Cam Ward marinate and sit for a lot of the season, at least is the plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or Carson Wentz is Cam Ward's backup, and from the start, Cam Ward is your starter. Mac Jones is the better quarterback, I would say, than Carson Wentz.
Pro right now.
At this point, right now in their careers. But if Carson Wentz comes, maybe he's just coming to be a backup. So would you rather play Cam right away and have Wentz back him up, or have Mac Jones be a bridge and have Cam Ward ready in the wings?
Only bridge situation then to me would be it would probably be Carson Wentz. He'd be the only viable position because Mac Jones is going to have a lot of fire under.
I like that, though. I almost am like, bring in Mac Jones. Let the damn quarterbacks compete. Let them compete. And you know what? Worst comes to worst, you sit one of them, whoever's not ready at that time. It's not like Mac Jones is coming here, like you said, with no experience. He's not a vet, but he's also a guy that has been on 2 different teams. He's probably learned a little bit at this point of his career. So give me that option. I want that option.
If you go get Mac Jones and he starts the whole 17 and actually plays well, is it worth it?
Then use him as trade.
So is it worth it? It's probably going to be a one-year deal at this point.
I mean, Sam Darnold, they just did it with the Vikings.
No, he didn't get traded. Sam Darnold didn't. Sam Darnold was a free agent after this year.
I mean.
So if you go get Mac Jones and Mac Jones kills it, like, is it best to go ahead and get Cam Ward then, if that's the case? Because you're wasting away a year again, is what we were just saying. If he comes in and he's the best quarterback, he's going to play.
We're talking like we think Mac Jones is a starter. We don't know that yet. So, right now, if you are looking at him as a guy that is backing up like he did in Jacksonville, and
but he was backing up a $250 million player, too.
Sure.
Like, he was going to be the backup. Here, he can be the starter.
But he could also be the backup to a first-round pick.
No, he could. Yes, you're absolutely. He could. But coming in earlier than where Cam Ward is coming in, I look at this situation, I say Mac Jones is going to be the starter going into 25 season.
I don't know that. I'm going to let him compete.
You're going to let him compete?
You said what option I wanted, and I said that's what option I wanted. I don't want a rickety Carson Wentz as a backup at any point.
If Mac Jones come here, he's going to compete for the starting position at that point. It may come out of the blocks as a starter to start the season off. At his age, he's not at that point of not in a franchise that doesn't have a $250 million salary cap for a guy.
Sam Darnold was brought to Minnesota to be a backup behind a rookie.
Yes,
that's not true. He was going to start all the way.
He was going to start all the way?
That's not true. If you read reports, it is totally split in that aspect. Totally split. I don't 100% agree with that.
I'll
Sam Darnold's position is a whole lot different than where Mac Jones was. Sam Darnold's going into what year now? 6?
They're both about the same.
Mac Jones going into year 3.
Sam Darnold isn't that old.
Or 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Mac Jones?
Yeah.
Mac Jones is going to year 5.
Yeah.
He's going into 5?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And is
yes.
Okay. All right.
That was my only,
okay.
Yeah.
More of your reaction when we come back. And breaking news, the Titans have signed a receiver.
Oh, boy.
We'll tell you who it is next.
It's Ramon Foster for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Man, listen, y'all, right now they have my seal of approval. They always had it since I visited them, man. And they have a deal for you that can change your life. They have the Behind the Line offer. It's a $37 consultation that includes a doctor's visit, x-rays if you need them, and your first treatment. If you need more in-depth treatment because you are part of the Zone family, they will give you 50% off spinal decompression treatment also. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Asher just want to help you get better, man. That's what I've done since I've gone there. Listen, you don't have to deal with that back pain that is shooting down your legs and, really hindering your day-to-day activities, man. They'll put you on their state-of-the-art spinal decompression machines to even their zero-gravity machines, too. They will find the best strategy to get you better fast. Speaking of fast, you're not going to wait long in the waiting room, man. Within 5 minutes, you'll be in the back getting treatment, man. It's that simple. They're one of the best to do it, the best to do it. It's possible to start your pain-free life with the Wellness Institute of Nashville. You can reach out to them at 615-246-5009 or go to painisbad.com.
RKW brewed by Scooter's Coffee on 104.5 The Zone with breaking Titans news. They have a wide receiver, friends. Jordan Schultz, sources, the Titans are finalizing a one-year deal worth up to $2.5 million with former Steelers wide receiver Van Jefferson, the Ravenwood Raptor. Jordan Schultz didn't say that. I'm saying that. I had 24 catches for 276 yards and 2 touchdowns last season in Pittsburgh. Son of former Titans wide receivers coach Sean Jefferson, Van Jefferson brought to Nashville to catch footballs.
A lot of value picks going on right now. A lot of value signings right now. 1 year, $2 million, man. God is going to play a role for the Titans. I'm not sure. He ain't do a whole lot of special teams for the Steelers last year. He ain't do a lot for the Steelers in general last year. He had 1 or 2 plays that he made from time to time, but their main targets were Calvin Austin, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth. What does that put him at? Number 4. Like, that was just his role. He played a good role. He was good for the locker room and the guys and stuff like that. I'm not diminishing him. I'm just telling you what his pro time was in Pittsburgh.
Sure.
Good signing for the Titans. They needed somebody to fill the void. Again, and he's in a position, too, when he plays 17 games, Will told us on the break, he's had a good bit of yards for. 800 yards is the highest he's had, and that was 2021. Injuries seem to be a part of his past or his career so far. And it just boils down to availability for a guy like him. Here in Tennessee, he's got an opportunity. I'm not sure Bryce Oliver's role is going to be on this team. Calvin Ridley is number 1. But,
still need a 2 and 3.
Yeah, with a guy, he can create something.
And this is, to me, not a 2 or maybe even a 3. It's possibly a 4.
Yep.
His best season was in 2021, which, again, was a long time ago. He had 802 yards, 6 touchdowns that year. He kind of got hurt starting after that, and that's why you've seen him not play as many games. I think he played 17 games in 2023 too, from what I'm looking at right here.
Yep.
But then 5-12 last year, you said limited action for the most part in Pittsburgh. Yeah, it not overwhelming, guys. Like, I could see, again, like a move like this making sense if you never had a Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, but I just don't understand why you throw away a younger receiver, technically, by a year or so, but who's had more proven production consistently. And NWI also healthy. He's been a consistent guy in terms of being able to rely on him. I still don't get the move, and this makes it almost look worse because it's not like you're bringing in somebody better in terms of numbers and consistency.
Van Jefferson has 1 season in his career over 400 receiving yards as a pro. That was 2021 when he had 800. So, interesting. He was a heck of a high school player, I can tell you that. I watched him play a ton of football at Ravenwood. He was a stud there. So, back home. There you go. 1 year, $2.5 million. Let's go to Aaron in Hendersonville this morning. You can join us 615-737-1045. What's up, Aaron?
How's it going, guys?
Good morning.
Good morning. Man, first I just want to say Carson Wentz, I agree with you, Kayla. Second, I wanted to say I just want to echo everything y'all were talking about earlier about the fan base. Like, everybody that's been on the team, any kind of contributor, even people that we just fan favorites, is like, oh, goodbye. Especially NWI. Like, that one hurt.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
appreciate that, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
I get it. All good. Is that a normal wide receiver 4?
No.
Westbrook-Ikhine. He's loved here more like a wide receiver 2. He had 9 touchdowns last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Coach Mack had a catchphrase for him.
Yeah.
Coach Mack doesn't just hand out catchphrases.
No, he doesn't.
What does he do? Score touchdowns.
Score touchdowns.
That's right.
All he does, score touchdowns.
Houston is in Portland up next. 615-737-1045. Hey, Houston.
Hey, how are y'all doing?
Good.
Good. I was just calling to talk about, I agree with everything y'all said so far. The only thing I really disagree on is the quarterback situation y'all talked about. I get Mac Jones or Carson Wentz is probably going to be the option we have to choose if, we go that path and signing a quarterback in free agency, which I think we should do versus signing a rookie quarterback this year. And mainly due to, like Will Levis, when we drafted him, we drafted him into a dumpster fire. The early stages of it, but still, it was a dumpster fire. And then we're thinking about drafting another young quarterback into a worse dumpster fire, if really I had to be honest with y'all. Mm-hmm. And I hope they either take Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter with the number 1 pick.
Thank you, Houston. Appreciate the call. And I think to that point, if you are drafting Cam Ward, it's why I'd rather sign a quarterback like Mac Jones to start for as long as possible to give Cam Ward time to rewire his brain to professional football. Yeah. That way you don't have a Will Levis situation. And they're not the exact same prospect. I mean, there are a lot of differences between those two guys and the systems they came from, the amount of football they played. But I understand the point that you don't want to ruin another quarterback.
I think you're going to ruin every quarterback that comes here at this point if they don't figure things out. Look, they're trying to do what they need to do on the line, and I don't think they're done yet in terms of that offensive line. The receivers, though, you've got to prove me wrong in terms of the moves you've made so far.
Yeah, they're going to have to. And again, this is reestablishment of a franchise. I feel like is what we're seeing at this point. Here's where I'm at. If you pick Cam, you just got to understand the growing pains is going to have to be established. I mean, that's going to be tagged along with him too, right? Like, it's one thing to have one guy save a franchise. I do believe a good quarterback can change everybody's mentality. I don't know if that's Cam. I don't know if that's Shador. I don't know if that's any other quarterback that's coming out the next year. The issue that you have is just a team. Most bad teams usually have a whole lot of draft picks, or they have a whole lot of quality picks that they've hit on. Like, we're watching this rebuild, this restructuring happen more so because of the missed first rounders that you've had, because of not the lack of retaining talent like AJ, right? Those are the issues that you're running into with us being in this situation right now. I do think the attempt that was somewhat tried to be made last year was solid enough, right? But then you got bad quarterback play. So here we are right now trying to save an entire franchise based off the shoulders of a young 23, 24-year-old and Cam Ward, potentially.
And the way the receiver thing is lining up, and again, they can make more moves, absolutely. But I still think that they think Treylon Burks can be a 2.
At this point, he's on the roster.
I mean, because that's the thing. He's like one of the only ones on the roster.
They're going to draft a receiver.
It is just wild to me.
They are going to draft someone to be their number 2 receiver. I would be very surprised if they didn't.
I sure hope they do.
So if they're picking a number 1, is that your second round pick as a wide receiver?
It is for me, and for me, it's Jack Besh, the big slot out of TCU, who reminds me.
I loved him.
Maybe I shouldn't make comparisons anymore after how my one went yesterday, but it to me fits the mold of what Brian Callahan's slots have looked like and what Zach Taylor big slots have looked like through their careers. So.
You think he's a what then in terms of
Jack
under
Besh?
Ridley? You think he's
slot
a 2?
Receiver? Yeah, slot receiver.
Yeah, Jack Besh is. He can go inside
ideally
out.
He's your 2, but I think he's filling the slot.
He played well outside, though, at the Senior Bowl.
I like the versatility of
he's a good player.
His ability to do both and fill multiple roles for you. I think he is a scheme
over the middle guy is what you're calling him.
Yep.
All right, for sure.
That's what I'm going
Hopefully
for.
free up Calvin really more, too, because his best years is when you got a guy over the middle and he can just take the top off down the field.
I think they're doubling up at pass catcher. And honestly, I think they are drafting with the 35th pick a pass catcher there. And again, it is a feather in the trade back camp to talk about how many holes they have specifically at wide receiver to say, well, you can go get another one in the 3rd round if you had a 3rd-round pick, Pete.
I do think that we're going to see a lot more of these Van Jefferson signings by the Titans, though, too.
That's the phase of free agency we are also entering. The 1-year deals for vets are already starting.
Yep.
615-737-1045. Rhett Bryan, the executive producer of Titans Radio, joins us next.
It's Ramon for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Man, they've been here in business, man, since 1990 and are family owned and operated. One of the best things you can do is support them, man. One thing that they are also good is just being good. Jimmy Hiller, man, was recently named amongst the most admired CEOs because of the way he truly cares for his team and his clients. Hiller takes care of the customer every job, every time, and they stand behind the work. So much so that the slogan is, happy you'll bill, the service is free. If a customer isn't pleased with the work performed, they will make it right. They always send a professional, experienced, trustworthy technicians to come into your home and leave it cleaner and better than they found it. Best part about this entire deal is this, man. They offer true transparency pricing. What that means is every part of the job is outlined up front, so homeowners can easily understand what they're paying for and why. There are no hidden fees, no added costs, no surprises when you get your bill. What you ask for is what you get with Hiller, and they'll always be good. Listen, to book with them or to learn more information about Hiller, visit happyhiller.com.
9:01 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I'm Will Bowling. A former Middle Tennessee high school football star is reportedly coming home to play for the Tennessee Titans. Jordan Schultz reporting within the last hour that the Titans are finalizing a one-year deal worth $2.5 million for free agent wide receiver Van Jefferson. Jefferson spent last season with the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he had 24 catches for 276 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has 1,800 yards in his career. The former second-round pick out of Florida by the Los Angeles Rams in 2020 had a career-high 802 yards in 2021. He played his high school football right here in Middle Tennessee at Ravenwood. The Titans were busy yesterday, adding more veterans and subtracting others. The Titans signed 29-year-old safety Xavier Woods, who spent last season with the Carolina Panthers. They also agreed to bring back safety Mike Brown, who played in all 17 games, including making 4 starts for the Titans in 2024. Punter Ryan Stonehouse will not return to the team, confirmed by a post on his Twitter account yesterday. And reports say the Titans will bring in 4-time All-Pro punter Johnny Hecker. The 35-year-old spent last season with the Panthers. Today, the SEC tournament begins inside Bridgestone Arena here in Nashville. 12-seed Vanderbilt takes on Texas at approximately 2:30. The Commodores beat the Longhorns at Memorial Gym back on February the 8th, 86-78. 9-seed Arkansas and 16-seed South Carolina kick off the tournament at noon. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Nine a.m., fourth and final hour of your Wednesday morning starts right here. It is brewed up by Scooter's Coffee. With locations at White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood, download the Scooter's Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. Full crew in studio. Ramon back behind the mic and joining us for the fourth hour of your Wednesday. He is the executive producer of Titans Radio, Rhett Bryan. Good morning.
Good morning. Here's what we're hearing.
That's right.
Yes, here we go.
Here we are, ladies and gents. We are just hours away from the official. We'll see how many tweets we see today over and under of officially official. Officially
I
official.
love that.
Confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, what moves will we see that has not been talked about today? Because while a great chunk of a lot of the writers from NFL.com and whoever you trust, great portion of those have been linked to either re-signing with their team or moving somewhere else. So, but there's still some quality people out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, this is and look, I know for Titans fans, this is white knuckle on the steering wheel going down I-40, 99 miles an hour type of deal. And, you know, I understand where you're feeling. It's like, well, gosh, when are we going to get a quarterback? What are we going to do? How, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been listening to you guys off and on all morning, and, you know, I think all of your points are valid. The thing is they've got a plan. We just don't know what it is.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
They have a plan, and they have a backup plan. They have a plan to that plan, but it'll all be revealed in time. And I think the most valid thing that has been said is it's March the, 12th?
12th.
Yes.
So
It's March 12th.
Will has made that apparent today.
but it's true. Yeah. As we're, you know, I hear Mac in my head, keep your powder dry. You know, I know everybody is upset about Nick Westbrook-Ikhine leaving. And while I am sad at that proposition, I also know that, you know, there's something else in store. And, of course, the news has dropped from Jordan Schultz that they're reportedly signing Van Jefferson to come back home for a year. And at the same kind of money that Nick Westbrook-Ikhine got last year, just a tick or two above that. They've got a model in this. And now, forgive me if I have missed this in the portions and segments that I have not heard of the show this morning. But when you guys were talking about NWI, did you mention, like, we talked about Calvin Ridley and whoever else in the receiving room, but remember, Bryce Oliver is someone that Rand Carthon mentioned frequently, and certainly head coach Brian Callahan. I think he sees a lot of NWI type production from a guy like that who also came undrafted.
I brought his name up yesterday with Will.
And so I think that is a part of this overall plan in that group, and not just there, but in the special teams phase of things, because he did have a 54-yard kickoff return last year.
Yeah, they really liked him on special teams.
If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Ramon, but didn't he have a touchdown catch that was called back with a penalty?
Yes, he did.
That's what I thought.
Yes, he did.
So he's still looking for his first TD.
For sure.
But Bryce is a hard-working young man. I really like Bryce Oliver. He has a lot of the character traits that NWI has. In fact, in conversations with him in the locker room through the season, I'm like, you know that the blueprint to your success is right across the aisle here from your locker at Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, because you want to see how it's done. And I said he embraced every time that guy's number is called, he has produced.
Yeah. And the
really,
guys love him.
Oh, gosh.
They love him.
Sure, because he's a blue-collar worker. Like, you'll never... He just minds his business and takes care of business and just does the work.
Right.
And he's not a boisterous, loud person, and that's fine if you are, but he just does the yeoman's work in this. Yep. And that's what I think Titans fans will miss is just because we all listen, I love the underdog story.
I do too.
I love the guy that, had to scratch and claw his way in. This guy's right here. Prime example.
11 years for Ramon Foster.
I'll miss him. No question. But I'm excited about Van Jefferson coming to town, reportedly, and certainly what Bryce Oliver can help with going forward, because I think they see that kind of trajectory and role for him.
And he can be the next NWI.
Yeah.
And he was a guy that no one thought about either.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, that you could do worse, right?
Yeah.
You could absolutely do worse. So, and let me say this, the news got out yesterday afternoon that they will not tender Ryan Stonehouse as the punter. And anybody knows me knows that one hits a little close to home for me because Ryan, if you're out there listening, I love you, brother. I hope you do well wherever you go. I'm just reminded that this is a business just like everybody else. And that one stings a little bit, but they clearly have a plan in that phase of things. And when you bring in a new special teams coordinator and John Bones Fossil, then you see the reports about them signing Johnny Hecker. And listen, Johnny Hecker, here's the thing. There's a couple things. Ryan Stonehouse, I don't think was the same after the injury. And he worked his rear end off this time a year ago to get back from all that. And I think he will recover and do very well. But at the end of the day, the trouble that the special teams phase had throughout the season, especially early on with punt protection, a little PTSD there.
No one should.
I don't blame him.
Quickly.
Wonder why, right?
Yeah, I know.
So, but you look at Johnny Hecker, you're talking about a guy that's a 6-time All-Pro, 4 times first-team All-Pro.
Yep.
Has a career average... let's see, I've got it right here. Where is that? He has a career average of 46.8 yards per punt in 13 years of service.
Pretty good.
963 punts.
13 years.
And those all-pro seasons were 6 straight seasons. Now, I know he's a little older. He's 35 years old. But Bones Fossil, that's his guy. They've been together off and on for a long time. So they, coach knows player, players knows coach, and not just off the field in a personal manner, but what their skill sets are. And so that I understand. But Ryan Stonehouse, Godspeed, sir. You will do fine wherever you land.
I saw the speculation he could end up in Denver, former Colorado State punter.
Makes sense.
He will set NFL record after NFL record of total punting average. If he does that at altitude, would be kind of crazy.
The other part of it, and Ryan Stonehouse would tell you this because he talked through his career here about working on plus 50 punts. Yeah. And he's got a leg. I mean, I've timed him plenty of times, 5+ seconds hang time. And in the NFL, it's a directional game.
Yep.
And Johnny Hecker, probably one of the best directional punters in the game, in the history of the game.
Right. Good quarterback.
It's you can bomb it. All
serious.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Like he's a fake punt guy.
Here's your quarterback.
I'm serious.
Right.
He has his fair
and
share of fake punt
creative.
highlights. He's
Yeah.
a stud at a fake punt.
And listen,
I'm just saying.
I'm a fool for a special teams fake.
Absolutely.
It is fun.
I love
Everybody
that stuff.
It is
I
fun.
love it. Love it. Especially when it works. When it happens and it works.
Absolutely.
But yeah, directional punting is the name of the game, and that's what Ryan will take with him and learn. And Johnny Hecker, I mean, listen, Mac talks about specialists all the time.
Mm-hmm.
This is the guy that's got the full bag of clubs going through 18 holes, and he's got the wedge, he's got the driver, he's got all of it.
Everything.
He's got it all. And so, that's where they're going. And, I worried about that a little bit when they didn't immediately, because the other day when they announced that they'd agreed to terms with Morgan Cox, I'm like, okay, where's the Ryan Stonehouse?
I know, same here.
And I'm like, the longer this goes, I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah.
that's what that is. And look, as for the quarterback and all the other things that are swirling around this, as of right now, hadn't been reported to sign a veteran quarterback. I feel like that they will at some point. I don't know who that is based on who's left in the market from the reports that have been, out there about who's landed where. Mm-hmm. But I just, it's clear that we're in the construction phase of this thing. It's just like that new building going up that I toured last week. It's not a finished product. There are lots of holes to fill, lots of concrete to be poured, lots of iron to be put up.
Yes, it is.
And so that's just kind of where it is.
Yeah.
That's, you have to accept at some point that, this is where this is. And you said it right early on. I heard in 6 o'clock hour, Ramon, Zone Podcast. Get them where you
Check it out.
Like, subscribe, all those good things. Do you want to load up now and have glory days later in terms of the draft capital and all those kinds of things and live like a king? Or do you want to, how do you want to play it? And, I don't think that they're in the position right this second to play it like they want.
As aggressive as you want. And I think that's the biggest point. Like business sometimes, right? Like you're in the low moment sometime in business. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of what steps are you taking to reestablish yourself. And that's what we were talking about on the break. I know we'll want to get to. We speak about who they have signed in particular.
We'll talk about Dan Moore coming up next with Rhett and Ramon as well. I know we haven't gotten Ramon's take on air about the former Steelers left tackle as we continue that discussion. One note we did miss earlier that I meant to mention and did not. One of the guys on your wish list, Ramon, is out.
Which one?
Tyrell Dodson, Miami Dolphin.
That's about right.
Because if you just wanted to load up on former Middle Tennessee high school football players, you could get Tyrell Dodson. You could go get, you got Van Jefferson now. You can go trade for Jalen Ramsey and Dawson Knox. You can go get
CJ Beathard still out there.
Ty Chandler is a Minnesota Vikings. You can come bring him back, play running back. I mean,
Hendon Hooker.
Middle Tennessee high school football, Ramon. Dang it. Let me cook.
I had to do
it's the one thing in life I'm an expert on, all right?
Derek Barnett?
Derek Barnett. There we go.
That's a good one.
There we go.
What's
Golden Tate up to? Bring him back.
I think he's retired.
Bring him back. All the Middle Tennessee high school football players. I love it. All right, coming up, we'll talk about Dan Moore. We'll talk about each of the free agents reportedly signed by the Titans with Rhett Bryan here in studio for Hour 4 when we continue next.
We've got the trucks, all the trucks, all the trims, all the towing, all the bells and whistles, and all at Truck Month Savings. Two Rivers Ford is Ford Truck Central.
RKW brewed by Scooters Coffee at 104.5. The Zone continues. Download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. The Scooter Doodle hive is growing, friends. It has taken over the studio, and I love it. The hints of clove, hazelnut, and cinnamon are wafting in the air.
Clove. Scooters.
That's right. It's fantastic. It's good stuff. Rhett Bryan in studio with us as we continue the Titans discussion this morning. Dan Moore, Rhett, brought in by the Titans to play left tackle.
Yep.
And for J.C. Latham to play right tackle. I would love to get your take, and I would love to also get Ramon's take on this, because this is a lot of money for a player that was top of a market that was not a great market. I think is maybe the best way to characterize it at this point. What stuck out to both of you guys about the Dan Moore move, and what do you like about it?
So for me first,
Yeah, go ahead.
because I want to confer to you. I want to transfer to you a couple of
Want to
questions.
assist
in this.
me, Bryce. So pull a joker.
I am
get
going to
30
pull a
assists.
joker. That's
Okay,
right.
there we
That's
go.
right. So I love that he's 26 years old. He is in the prime, and you're going to be able to speak on that better than I can. But when you're talking about an offensive lineman, that is the prime years. And he has seen some stuff. 66 career starts, I think. So I start looking at the things that we shouldn't look at to start making assumptions, and I looked at 34 career sacks allowed, and I'm like, yeah. But I'm also thinking about, okay, I looked at the 2024 stats in there, and 2 sacks allowed in the first 8 games, and then on the back end, it was quite a bit, and he ended up allowing 12. 5 of the 12 came from 2 different games against Myles Garrett and against Trey Hendrickson in the division. So anyway, and knowing that, there's some other things involved, like Russell Wilson and how he would, give up the ghost because he's a wily veteran and, those things. And also considering who he has blocked for previously. So I'm not being an instant evaluator, Mac, if you're listening. I'm keeping the powder dry. But I remember I went back and looked at when Mac and I looked at him coming out of the draft out of A&M that year. And we had him as a day 3 pick, which he was. And the one thing on him is that he has trouble with speed to power rushers. And other than that, he's solid. And I think I like the move because you're taking care of a couple of things. Right. I mean, what everybody has said is, you're taking a left tackle and you're moving JC back to right, which is maybe where he plays better, and you're taking care of 2 positions with one thing. And as far as the money goes, that's the thing that gets lost in free agency. It's what the market bared. Yeah. People. You even said to me in the break, you're like, is he worth $80 million? He clearly is, because the Titans just paid that.
Right. His situation to me, here's why I like this move. One, I don't have a relationship with Dan. I recently just talked to him. He and I don't have a Bud Dupree relationship.
But you brought him up on this show
Rudolph.
over the last year and a half.
I have. I wanted him last year. Because I thought, here's the exact young talent.
Jones.
I did.
Yeah,
the
you
Broderick
did.
Jones one. So here's the situation. I brought him up last year. I was like, he's a guy that can come in and can play for you. This is what it does for me. It settles what the Tennessee Titans offensive line is going to be moving forward. Here's the way the breakdown of this works for me. One, all right, JC's moving over to the right side, from my understanding. You got your 2 best pass pro guys on the left side. Peter Skoronski last year was noted by PFF by having his pass protection be very high. What is Dan Moore's strength, according to PFF? Also, his pass pro. Now you got your blind side protected. You know what you do with JC? Lean into what his strengths are. He's a big roll grader. I know he can play left tackle. He showed us that last year. His rookie wall hit him, and there was nothing he could do to come back from that, okay? What you do is this. You got your roll grader side on the right side that's able and capable of being pass protectors, and you got your elite pass protections on the left side. More solid than it's been in years past. Dan Moore, the player, this is to me. Consistent and always available.
Sure. Like
26 years old.
Sure.
Understands how the role that he's in. Pittsburgh has drafted in the last couple of years 2 first-round picks, top 20 guys, okay? Broderick Jones and Troy Fautano out of Washington. Troy primarily played right tackle. They actually thought at some point that they were going to beat out Dan Moore. Dan said, nuh-uh, I got this. And here's the other part I like about Dan, too, because I follow him. I did my podcast at one time daily, and I always had a Dan Moore appreciation post because people don't understand what his consistency is, because we in this era see these first-rounders, damn it, I want them, and I want them right now. Dan Moore said, no, I'm going to beat you, and then I'm also going to start here at left tackle. And not only that, but he also helped groom and help grow up Broderick Jones, too, which is what he's going to have to do here with JC. Is there what he also going to have to do with Peter, too, and whoever else is coming in on his offensive line. He could have shunned Broderick because he was brought in to take that spot. Broderick had to go play right tackle because of what Dan was doing. And not just that, the consistency of what he has going on. If you look at Dan Moore's, I sent this to Babs and Savage earlier this week.
Yeah,
if
I was
you go
listening to what they said.
to Dan Moore's stat line that he has as of late, when you're speaking about, okay, well, he gets beat. Since 2021, Myles Garrett versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, last year was the only year that he's ever gotten to him. Now, I know there's only one player. His speed to rush is what you say he has to get better at. But if we're talking about the boogeyman himself and being able to handle one particular guy, the one game that Myles Garrett got him in was a snow globe game this past year in 2024 in Cleveland, where nobody could see anything. Myles Garrett logged 3 sacks. Myles Garrett versus Dan Moore since 2021, playing twice a year. 0 sacks. 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 3, 1, and that last one wasn't even his because Dan had to come out. Another thing that Dan was dealing with this past year, he had a little bit of an injury. Didn't speak up, played through it, everything that you needed him to do this year. He's good to go now. Yeah. He's not going to get pushed back. He's not going to be a guy that gets bullied play in and play out. He can run block well, and also that's something he's got to get better at, and he's also is always available. This, to me, establishes what they're going to be looking for moving forward to me. They now have a template of what an offensive line is supposed to look at. Will broke up a guy that if they went and got that guy that you brought up on the break.
The Chiefs guy?
No, the Philly guy.
Oh, Mekhi Becton.
Right yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
360-pound right guard for Jeff Stoutland's Eagles last year.
With JC on the right side.
And going back to what you said, that Mike Borgonzi said at the podium at the Combine, we're going to invest in the bigs.
The bigs.
You do that, and look, it may be Dylan Radins they bring back or whatever, but you do that,
that makes you feel a lot better.
And it may lend to something else that was said that week by Brian Callahan about, listen, we love Tony, we love Tajay. We might think about another back. So he might have tipped a little bit there about running the ball a little more.
Exactly.
And then if you get a quarterback that is a running style,
What question I had for you, too, is because he is so young, but he's been a veteran in terms of how many games he's played.
Day one.
Bill Callahan is still one of the best, like you mentioned, in the league in terms of a line coach. He could still learn, too. I mean, this is another thing where you've got a guy for at least years to come in terms of this line growing together. Like, what's one thing that Bill could kind of...
It's technique. Well,
exactly.
I like Pat Myers, Pat Myers is fine as a coach in Pittsburgh, is what I would say. But I don't think he's technical as Coach Bill Callahan is. So we text just a little bit, Dan and I was like, man, you going into Dan, you're going with Coach Bill Callahan. I was like, this is where I was when I met Coach Munchak. In year 5, going into years 5 to 9 for an offensive lineman is where you start to ascend up with the right teachings. And that's something he acknowledged. That's some stuff that he has to work on that where for sure, Rhett, what is Bill Callahan doing every single day? Drills, technique. Nothing's going to deviate from that plan. And when you're an offensive lineman, really understanding the game a little bit more now with more responsibility, this is a perfect scenario for him if he buys into it the way he should for Coach Callahan and the Tennessee Titans. The number scares you. Okay, $80 million, but here's what I do know. There was a strong market for him with teams that needed left tackles that were going to pay him very similar money at left tackle, and he chose to come here too.
Yep. And with that, the price goes up.
And with that, the price goes up.
Because it only takes 2 to tango.
And of course, the conversation, well, Pittsburgh didn't keep him. They drafted in the last 2 years 2 high first round. They moved up
play their young kids.
Be smart in business too. Yeah.
Well, and they just gave DK Metcalf the biggest deal they've ever given anyone.
So it's. I know a lot of people, well, Ramon, you're a former Steeler. You're going to no, this one is a situation right here where it just somewhat makes sense to me.
Former Steelers now you didn't play with.
I was going to say, you're
not calling you old. I'm sorry. But.
Yeah, I don't. No. That's fair.
The other thing, and I'm glad you brought this up, because the other thing I hear when you're talking about development, years 5 through 9, coach, how much did Mike Munchak, do you give him credit for getting you to that 11 year mark?
Easily extended my years by 3 years. Easily.
What I thought you might
say. Just on the basis of technique and establishing a role that you need from your group, too.
And so big coach, they called him,
Big
Bill
coach.
Callahan.
It should and want to do the exact same thing too.
Yeah.
Dan moves well in space. He can. I've seen Pittsburgh with the Arthur Smith offense last year pull both backside guard and tackle.
Yeah.
He's a front side lead blocker on those types of things. He can get around the tight end and block. And the biggest thing that you need too from him, he's been a veteran offensive lineman in that group for a few years now, because Isaac Seumalo is the veteran dude in Pittsburgh, but he's not a big talker like that.
Sure.
If you listen to any Broderick Jones conversations, interviews that he's had, asked about who's helped him the most grow up, he's going to say Dan Moore.
I love that.
By the way, the Steelers just added Kenneth Gainwell, running back, since you don't have Najee Harris anymore. So there you go.
Right.
You're going to draft Ashton Genty, and he's going to be a stud.
Probably.
Rhett, looking at the other moves the Titans have made, I love how confident you are about that. No, I don't. I actually hate it. Cody Barton, inside linebacker, Denver Bronco, a guy who has earned a bigger payday, was on a one-year prove-it deal last season, over 100 tackles, solid run defender. What stands out about his resume to you?
I think he's a good complement piece to Kenneth Murray. I do. And clearly he's, doing the right things, or he wouldn't be getting a paycheck somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So, but the other thing that I think people in the know would tell you is they have more than just one or two needs in that level of the defense. Mm-hmm. Would you agree that coverage linebacker is
absolutely
what? Because both of these guys can come down to the box and make a problem for a runner.
100%.
And they can drop back in coverage and do, we can,
at times, yeah.
And I just wonder, again, like I brought up about Bryce Oliver in the wide receiver room, I wonder if they don't have plans developmentally for James Williams, who's a converted safety, to work into a role like that. And I know that's asking a lot of a guy who's just going to be entering into year 2, but I think he made big strides in the chances that he got. Yes, there were times he got chewed up and spit out, but guess what? That happens to any defender on any given day, and you got to live to tell about it and keep trucking. I know his position coach, Frank Bush, is high on that. So, and look, they could still bring in another linebacker or draft an off-ball linebacker.
How about the Cedric Jones experience, too?
Cedric Gray.
Cedric Gray, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and that's the other part.
That was their,
the other part of it.
4th round pick?
That's the other part of it that could certainly help what I'm talking about. So, yeah.
It's fascinating to that point about finding and filling spots. So, too, is because it is a process of trying to pair one to the other. Like, Kenneth Murray is a thumper. You got to find somebody that can work in space. You're good with Kenneth, right? Being in space and zone, or being in a position where it's not every single down, every single play, or putting him in a matchup that relates to what he's got going on or his strengths are. And it's a lot of game planning that goes into your personnel. And that's the part of the game, too. I feel like that fans put a lot on the players to get it done, but schematics and how you set a game plan plays a part into their success, too.
Is that Slay?
It is.
Oh, cool. Slay's here.
Yeah,
He's in a suit.
He's suited up.
I don't think I've ever seen Slay in a suit.
Oh, yeah, all the time. He tweets out his picture.
Well,
his boy
I mean
Street.
in person.
Oh,
In
okay.
person. Of course I see him.
You said, I mean, in person.
In person.
He's like the
Slay
bad.
dog, what are you doing? Come on in.
Look at this dapper
Look
gentleman
at
walking
that.
in.
Ooh, I like
This
the
man
color.
just-
I like the color.
Tell me that you're going to be on television
Get in the
without
shot.
telling me
Get in the
that
shot.
you're going to be on television.
I'm just trying to put it
Look
out
at
As
you, baby
featured
boy.
on the
Slick, man.
Paul Feinbaum
Baby
show this
boy
week.
coming in
Rob.
Yeah.
crispy.
Dog.
Slick,
Grabbing some
man.
sunglasses.
Nuts,
All right.
man.
Look at that.
He comes in like the kid in the hallway without the hall pass.
Is that
Slay,
a
the
Navy
video.
Slay? Is that Navy? I can't tell.
It's a little name, but more royal than
More
Navy.
royal, okay.
And the
Yeah.
green for
He's
the
got like a
Irish.
royal blue suit and a
I'm
little...
just glad to see you ain't got on your little company
Little
man
green
shirt
The
today.
video
Tie.
of you guys reacting to Nick Westbrook-Ikhine signing for the
I
Dolphins
told him just hey,
is hysterical.
all you got to do is just come over there in the corner and watch with me.
There it is.
We'll be able to play. We'll be able to play soon.
It looks like you had kicked his dog, like when Nick Westbrook-Ikhine signed with the Dolphins.
You about to go work now?
Man, we gotta be at 10.
Go kill it, man.
Got to be there at 10. Well, it's
Make sure you
Let me
9:37.
know which one you're not going.
Tune in throughout the week on the SEC Network.
Ron Slay.
will
That's
be
my
on the
guy.
broadcast.
Savage
That's great.
life, man.
I love it.
real
SEC
quick
tournament
question.
starting in a couple hours.
Edge. So Harold Landry's gone. Arden Key's here, obviously. There's some young guys in the mix. Do they make a move still in free agency when it comes to that spot, or do you look to the draft because we know it's deep?
It could be a combo of both.
Yeah.
I mean,
they just don't have much.
And by the way, Pro Football Focus, you want to talk about a hub to keep you up with transactions. Their free agency tracker, they break it down by position, then they break it down by team. And so I'm looking at edge defender
I know
here.
you went right to the paper.
Von Miller, Zadarius Smith. You know what? Azeez Ojulari is still sitting there.
Good
Somebody
athlete.
asked about him in the chat.
Young player, looking for that second contract. Liked him coming out of Georgia anyway.
Oh,
sure yeah.
Maybe that's something. I'm looking through some others here. They're the couple that really there's a couple that jump out, but Azeez Ojulari, yeah,
Could be a guy.
wouldn't hate that.
Definitely.
4.63 40 at the NFL Combine for Azeez Ojulari, who was I remember is just always been an uber athletic guy. Size was always his thing. He's a little bit undersized edge rusher, 249 pounds when he came out of Georgia. Was just a smaller guy, but was always very athletic. I mean, 10.7 broad jump. He's a freak. In that way, he's a third edge rusher kind of piece, a complementary piece that you could bring in for sure.
By the way, speaking of edge rushers from Georgia's pro day today, Michael Williams, who rang in at 6'5" and change, 34.5-inch arms, ran a 4.78 40. He had two 40s, about 4.6 and change, 4.7 and change. Now those are scout timed,
Right. So
but
we will hear numbers, Ramon, because we were talking about
some places put them out. Tennessee did not put them out, I believe, yesterday.
Gotcha.
Georgia clearly is because Dan Jackson ran a 4.44. But also, it also depends on what NFL scouts you're talking to, because a lot of places, like Dan Brugler got that from a scout. Georgia didn't put that out. It was just a scout timing it. Probably
Speaking of Tennessee and Biggs, I wonder what kind of pro day Omar Norman Lott had.
I love that.
Because I think that young man's stock is going arrow up.
Yes, it is. Omar going, I think, be second round.
Is the kind of fit for the Titans defensive line when you talk about complementary pieces to what they have in Keandre Coburn and Sebastian Joseph Day, whom they've brought back. They need someone with a little bit of pass rushing chops. Opposite of Jeffrey Simmons and Devondre Sweat. That kind of undersized pass rush specialist interior rotational piece, I think, could be really interesting here.
Just powerful, too. Yes, I absolutely like that. I hope Omar goes in no later than second.
Of all the Vols out there, he's the one I would want the most here of all the Tennessee guys in this draft.
Makes sense. Definitely.
You don't want Dylan Sampson?
Well, yeah, but
okay.
Running back.
Your roommate Tajay Spears, though, if he fills the same role.
I understand it. I hope he doesn't kick me out. Rick's coming due next week.
Always great to catch up with Rhett Bryan here Wednesday mornings on the show. Thank you, sir. Good to see you.
Rhett.
And we'll continue all day long and all through the week of what we're hearing.
I love
We will
that.
continue talking about it all day, no doubt.
Midweek
When
motivation.
we come back, that's right. Inky Johnson, midweek motivation, plus headlines we have yet to get to. A lot of deals going down in the NFL this morning. Coming up next. Wrapping up the show this morning on your Wednesday edition of RKW. We are brewed up by Scooter's Coffee, and you can catch any of the conversations you missed wherever you download podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, 1045thezone.com. Do you think the Titans have a quarterback by the end of the day, guys? Yes or no?
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I feel like they probably do. I think they're going to get Mac Jones, and I think it's going to happen soon.
Mac Jones.
I have no insider info.
I was about to say, you sound like an insider right now with that
It
one.
just feels like time. No texts. Only from my lovely fiance, Peyton Kennedy, as seen on TV.
Who?
Oh, did she give you the info? I'm just joking.
That would be great.
Peyton
That
the
would be
insider.
awesome.
Yesterday, when people were tweeting at me that I've never watched football before, she was like, I can tell them you have. I was like, you watch it all the time.
Lady, don't be fighting my battles. I got this. Don't be fighting my battles.
It is funny, though, like the second you and an argument start with the word or end with the words, and it's not even close, I just go on to the next one. Like that's a good way to get me to tune out of a discussion is by saying the words, and it's not even close. Well, usually when people are saying something like that, it is close.
I came to
Usually.
we came to an agreement yesterday with a YouTube listener, man. He was just like, Ramona, you don't know crap, and not in those words right there.
Who?
It was like we talked it out yesterday in the chat. And,
You talked it out in the chat.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was in
The
the chat.
chat's
I was just-
always its own little experience.
Yeah, but it was just like, it's one thing I do know. It's offensive line play. I'm going to tell you that. I can tell you if somebody's bad. I can tell you if somebody's good. I don't care what team they come from. Like, I can tell you when it's bad or good.
That's why
that.
I was just waiting when the Dan Moore signing came down. I was waiting to see, because unfortunately we didn't have you that day or the day after when we talked about him. So when I was listening to 3HL that day, you had passed on obviously the information to Slay and Dawn. So I was listening to what they said about it. And then it was like, okay, I definitely understand this more. But you had brought up his name in terms of our show a couple times, and we had off the air conversations about him too. So it wasn't a surprise by any means. I think that the money is what people were off about, but you just explained it right there. And if you're going to go spend big money, you got to spend it where you need that help the most. This was clearly the offensive line. And then, like you said, you fix kind of two problems in one swoop.
You do. And not just that. You get them at 26 years old. You don't have to
That's
be
big.
rushing to the draft to pick another high pick at tackle and stuff like that, too. So, guard, I hate to say it because I played it, but finding this starting right guard, either whether it's Rupchich or whether it's somebody else they sign later this week or whatever, like, I hate to minimize it, but you'll find the right guard. You will, especially if you believe in what JC can do on the right side, too.
Are you surprised Radens hasn't had any kind of connections to any teams?
Really, because when you don't have that profile like that and you come from a bad team that didn't win also, these are the things that happen.
Then bring him back for cheap.
That's probably going to be a part of right now is the pride side of things for a lot of people that's about to be signed.
I get it.
Or do you want to take this 1-year prove-it deal? The money that you thought you was going to get in free agency isn't there. So if you thought you was going to get 5 to 8, you're probably going to get 2 to 3.
Dylan Radins, and it's not even close.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it may be like that. Do you take this 1 year, 2.5, and bet on yourself?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, that's where you stuck. Like, that's where we are in free agency right now.
Yep.
I think Mekhi Becton would be fun.
Oh, that would be fun.
The thing is, though, like, if Sam Darnold was a one-hit wonder, then you could say the same thing about Mekhi Becton. Who even has less success than Sam Darnold did in Carolina. So it's like, we're all moving fence posts for different positions because obviously, quarterback and right guard, different markets, different positions. But anyway.
No doubt. Fascinating approach. If we were so high on Berganzi being hired because he comes from Kansas City, and Chad is this, guy that's a thinker and is very analytical about what he does. Why are we not trusting this process?
We had a tweet yesterday at Ramon K. that said, fire Borgonzi.
Yeah, no.
That was fast.
They did come out and say this was going to be a slow burn. That is what I will say about this group right now at the top. They came out and pretty much said, don't get, keep your powder dry because it's going to be a slow burn process. And they've stuck to that. They said not spending a lot in free agency, not bringing in big names. They've done all that. So we can't be surprised. We can be frustrated as fans, but Not surprised.
Let Borgonzi scheme. 2025.
Barbecuing with Borgonzi.
Barbecuing with Borgonzi.
We don't like Kansas City barbecue.
No,
Burning with Borgonzi.
Let Borgonzi scheme. Let Borgonzi scheme is the best one.
Hey, broiling with Brinker.
And with that, the show comes to a conclusion on this Wednesday. More headlines tomorrow. Also, who you got? SEC tournament champion. Go. Don't think. Just go.
Oh, okay.
3, 2, 1.
Alabama.
Go.
Kentucky.
Florida.
All right.
I think Florida
different.
wins the SEC tournament, gets the final 1 seed.
Okay.
We go now to our guy, Inky Johnson. Midweek motivation wraps up our Wednesday morning.